Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are at in the world. It is always time for sim racing, and welcome to Race Day 20 here in AMX 0. We come to you from a beautiful Oulton Park overhead view, and of course, it's in the virtual world because of the fun of iRacing, but it produces some real-life action and some real-life heartbreaks and some real-life victory stories that you may not see otherwise. And as always, my name is Brad, and I've got with me Wayhan. Wayhan, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Brad. Great to be back once again. Well, certainly we had an exciting previous round just a couple of days ago, and I think we're going to have an even more exciting Saturday morning of racing here as we go to Oulton Park first with the Renault Clios.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get Wayhan and Amir side by side to bring us some, real-life AMX action, but you get me and Wayhan to bring you some of the best commentary we can going forward. And, of course, before we get to that, let's just kind of touch on things with how AMX works if this is your first time, and how kind of things run for the season, and just kind of give you a little bit of a taste of what you're looking at. This is, of course, the AMX Global League, and let's look at our Season 3 overview. September 20th is when we started the shindig, and we go all the way till December 10th. Over $25,000 in prizes to be given out, and it's the most races in a year, and it's the biggest variety of car and track combos. You see somebody else doing it, they got the idea from us. 15-minute qualifiers, and then we reverse the top 15 of the grid, and then it's Heat 1 for around 15 minutes, reverse the top 15 again, and then it's Heat number 2, and we pay out every single time for every single section. So yes, we do pay you for qualifying, which is something that I don't know anywhere else that does. And of course, driver cams, there is the Zoom link on the Discord or on the website. If you join with AMX 0, you get an extra $1. Balances over $100 get paid out each month. And we race on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you say, okay, you kind of have me interested, where can I get more info? AMXrace.com is the place to be. And if you were in the Discord, you would already know about that. And kind of looking forward here at the schedule, if you say, okay, now I'm really interested, but when do you race? We are, of course, on Saturdays, and Saturdays in AMX 0 is 12:50 Eastern time, and it's the same thing Sunday. Wednesday evening, Saturday, Sunday afternoons to give you plenty of time to jump in and run around here if you are, of course, in the US. Now, let's talk about the European folks, because I know the AMX 0 on Thursday is a little bit early, but we have some night owls that have raced with us. But the Saturday evening races are, of course, very, very good times for you. 5:50 p.m. and 7:20 p.m. respectively for Central European time. Adjust that accordingly if you're not Central European time. You may have to shift that an hour or two. But the weekend time slots are a very, very good place to find yourself. But we do, of course, love to have our European friends on those Thursday mornings if they're willing to stay up with us. And now I hear you saying, okay, Bradley, so how much do you pay us, though? So, here in AMX 0, first place gets $7 for quali, and then we're going to shuffle you all the way to the back. If you move your way all the way back forward for Heat 1, we're going to pay you another $7, and then we'll shuffle you to the back again. You move yourself all the way forward, Heat 2, it's another $7. And of course, if you turn on the Zoom, it's $1 extra, and per race, we're giving out $100 plus the camera prizes. There's a lot of money to be given out, plus money for fastest laps in the heats. Plenty of opportunities for you to win through. And if you're wondering just what else we're giving away besides money, it is, of course, from our friends at Next Level Racing. We are giving away a GT Light Pro to the top of the leaderboard in AMX 0 when the end of the season hits. So if you come in, grind your way all the way up to that number 1 leaderboard spot in AMX 0, you get a GT Light Pro shipped out to you from Next Level Racing. And that is a pretty sweet little prize to add on top of whatever money you've earned. So, AMXrace.com, jump on board, get ready to join, because you could be racing with the likes of these guys that have made their story here in AMX. And this is up to date. Quentin Gunez currently on track for that GT Light, $175.40 in his pocket. Jackson Resenje has been hard on the charge, $151.10. Fabrizio Belzidi's up there, Cal Gaspar, and you can run all the way through. You've got some of the big names here that have made a story in AMX and made their name in AMX. You know the drivers, you love the drivers, and they're all competing at the end of the day for money and for that wonderful Next Level Racing gear. Average winnings, if you're saying, okay, well, how often can I win? Kieran Harrison has ran 8 races, $13.51 average. So you do the math on that, he just has to run, 8 races and he can get paid out. And you can do the math through, so we've got a lot of drivers that are averaging about $10 a race. And for that means just 10 races in AMX 0. And the fun with AMX, you can join in and join out as you please. You're not required to be at every race. But remember, the more races you join, the more opportunities to earn money. The more money you earn, the quicker you get paid out, and the higher up that leaderboard you go. And with all the housekeeping out of the way, Wei-Han, I am going to kick it over to you because I would like to give you the chance to introduce this beautiful, beautiful track that we're looking at right now.
Yes, so the place of choice that we've come to of course take these Renault Clio Cup cars racing is at none other than Alton Park. So it is in fact a free track on the iRacing service, and it's, well, of course it's in England. It was opened in 1953 and it's also one of the shorter tracks that we have on the iRacing service. So typically this track will be used for touring car racing, TCR racing, but of course today we have the front wheel, we do have the Renault Clios here, so we do get a similar flavor of racing. What this track is known for though, quite a lot of blind corners, quite a plenty amount of elevation changes, and also fast flowing corners to go along with that. So it is in so many ways a driver's classic kind of racetrack where of course at some points you'll have to be careful as you approach some of the blind apexes. So definitely a challenging place for the drivers to go racing. So of course the car of choice that these drivers, well, of course, where we've come here racing, it is the Renault Clio Cup that has just come onto iRacing, I guess, sometime along last year. So it's a car that's come onto the service quite recently, but already it's kind of built quite a fair bit of a following in so many ways, because of course with these front-wheel drive cars packing along with 200 horsepower, you do get quite a fair bit of power, and it also presents close racing. So in some ways it's a step before the touring cars. So certainly an interesting choice of car indeed. So and I think it does provide quite a lot of good racing. Brad, I think we have a perfect car track combination for some good chill pace of racing. We're not exactly going too fast as you would with some of the faster cars, but you will still get close racing.
Yeah. I was doing some research on this car track combo before the broadcast today, and one of the things I saw was there's a Reddit post out there, and I love getting information from Reddit about iRacing, and the post said, yeah, the Clio Cup is more fun for me than TCR cars because it is just that little bit less horsepower, a 1.3 liter engine, and it's just a little bit easier to control. And apparently a lot of drivers really, really like this car. And of course, we're running the Foster's variation of Alton Park, so you get that shorter circuit setup too, and it works really well. You're cutting out shell oil corner. There's not the long straights. It's just constant right hand turns, so it should be a very, very good car track combo to see our drivers go through. And Wei-Han, it's going to be a lot of fun through. I think the biggest challenge for these drivers, though, as always, is going to be just getting out of turn 1 in one piece.
Yes, so I'll be honest, I haven't raced here at Alton Park that much, but on the rare occasions that I have driven cars here, I've never really been able to do a proper pristine lap, and that kind of goes to show how tricky it is to really get a hang of the track, especially if you're new to this track. So certainly we are going through quite a number of spots through this track, especially this part here, the turn 17, which, well, on the track map, it looks straight, but right here, as you can see from the actual camera footage itself, there is quite a trough there before coming up upon a crest, and that already kind of adds to the challenge. You kind of approach the main stretch there a little bit blind. So we are coming towards the final moments of qualifying, and already from practice, drivers have already set down some lap times, but it will be qualifying where the lap times that the drivers set down will matter. So it is a fact that we have, I would imagine, 18 drivers, so it is quite a sizable field for racing here at Alton Park, given that we are running the shorter layout and with these cars. So we are on board with Gustavo Ariel, one of the drivers from the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup Series this year, and I think he is also going to race that series next year as he has a World Championship license. So it is the start of the qualifying, and already you can tell this Clio Cup kind of well, if you've also driven some of the other slower cars on iRacing like the Toyota GR86 Cup, it's kind of around the same category where these cars are a little slower, as you just mentioned, Brett, and because of that you get quite a lot of nice chill style of racing. You know, you don't have too much power on tap, and that kind of makes things just a little more fun for all of the drivers here. And you know, of course, the fact is that Gustavo Ariel himself, he has 10,000 I rating, so the only driver on the grid so far to have an I rating of 5 digits, which is, I would say, 0.01% of the iRacing field. So that's definitely some great stuff to see. Approaching the final segment here, you can see that turn 70, although it's in quite a straight line, there is quite a fair bit of a climb, so you are approaching the start-finish line a little bit blind there, but now comes around turn 1, which I wouldn't think of this corner as a little too difficult, especially with these Renault Clio cars. But yes, drivers will have to be on their toes because racing here is on this track, it is quite a narrow place, and you've also got plenty of blind corners.
Yeah, it's a narrow track, blind corners with small cars that are all about carrying momentum. The Clio Cup reminds me a lot of, we've seen the MX-5s or the Miatas, depending on what you want to call them. We've seen the GR86s. We've seen some of those momentum-driven cars on AMX several times, and it's very, very easy to forget that with those cars, one small error can cost you several seconds. We're watching Gustavo Ariel just motor his car around, and he's doing a very, very good job of it, getting his car around a little bit of a thing on my screen here, but we're good now. And as you watch his car come through, I mean, he's doing a very, very good job of just keeping his car forward, keeping things pushing, and it's good enough right now for a P2 time of a 105.8, which is going to slowly get beaten. So even that 10,000 I rating, you know, seeing the car and track combos mix up can be a bit of a challenge there.
Yeah, so as we have a look at some of the lap times that drivers have already set down, as usual, Corentin Guinea is currently on pole. Of course, that's surprising, as I would have also expected Gustavo Ariel to be kind of close by. But of course, the top 3 drivers are within 300ths of a second of one another. So that's definitely a good indication of the pace of the drivers who are racing up here. So I think we have a good third of the field who's qualified, probably now approaching half of the field who's qualified, and all of the drivers are within 1 second of one another, so I think we can expect that the pace of the drivers will be quite close together. So as the qualifying continues to ensue, judging based on the live timing, some of the other drivers, that's Sandro Boas, who's just completed a lap, and some of the other drivers as well. So Gustavo Ariel has just been pushed down to 4th position. Gaston Colavi is now in 2nd with a 105.780. And Josh Perwin just set a lap time to push him up to 11th. He set a lap time of 106.380.
Yeah, lap times I think are going to continue to tumble down. I'm expecting very low 105s as the drivers go through. And the good thing about this is they've got plenty of time. Remember, 15-minute qualifying session. So it really is just a matter of continuing to put times down, continuing to go through and keep things moving, and it will slowly come down. But you never know with some of these drivers, because we've got some big names here that have shown a lot of time, and I do see Gerardo Ramos in there, and he is known to put in a late lap lunge, 105.897 as I say it. And we will just continue to keep our eyes around Gaston Kohavi, 105.780.730. So we are watching times tumble, as Wei Han loves to say we watch times tumble. And I think it will be just a little bit of time before we see the times tumble on down more. I'm running out of time tumbling puns to bring up, but I will keep it going as long as I can. Continue to watch here. I think it's interesting to see the drivers restarting from the pits, getting fresh tires, getting fresh things. Wei Han, I thought we would just kind of watch the drivers just push for a straight 15 minutes. Seeing some of the drivers reset to the pits kind of What do you think the strategy is there?
Well, it is the fact that one lap around here is quite short, so I think because of that, drivers do have the opportunity to set more laps than they would in perhaps other races where one lap would kind of take a longer time. So it is entirely likely for these drivers to do qualifying and maybe go out for 3-4 laps and then head to the pits to reset the car and come out again. I think it's quite a good strategy. The format or rather the length of this lap here kind of allows for that. So of course the drivers will kind of take that to their advantage. So we're now with Fabrizio Belziti, who has a lap time of 105.831. So we can see that most of the drivers at this point, they've just set an average of 3 laps. A handful of drivers have set down 4 laps. So it is kind of a good indication of the drivers making good use of the time window that they're provided. So 15 minutes is not exactly too long of time for qualifying, but it is plenty enough for drivers to have to kind of have control over how they want to spend their time setting down their qualifying laps. So Brad, I think it's kind of back to basics in many ways, because if you recall some of the rookie series that you would have raced back during your rookie days on iRacing, especially with those MX-5s, let's say if you take MX-5s to Lime Rock Park or Summit Point, one lap would be 1 minute, and if you were to go on to open qualifying sessions, sometimes you wouldn't be turning lap after lap there. So as Fabrizio Belziti goes on the slipstream, qualifying slipstream is still quite a useful thing in many ways. We can just kind of see the drivers having fun here.
Wei-Han, I'm flattered. Do you think I ever left the iRacing Rookie Series? Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, I've moved up. C classes. C classes are my bread and butter, and that's just because while I may have the license unlocked to do things, I don't have the skill to back those licenses up. So I just stick with it. I was a little thrown off there because I'm so used to seeing Fabrizio Belziti in shorts and a tank top, and he's got on sweatpants and a pullover. So I'm a little confused. I wonder if it's just a little cold down in his area of the world. But that's a question for him for later, I think. And we'll watch Fabio Zamperlini here. Corte Gunez 105.5. We still see times coming down, Wei-Han, and we're about halfway through qualifying now. Pedro Mora is about to break the 106s. And look at the spread of the field, just how thin it is. It does go to show that these slower speed cars provide some very close racing, and I'm real excited to see kind of how the drivers handle that as the race goes, because everybody's so close on pace. It's going to be a matter of getting a little bit of slipstream through, which not a lot of room for here. Slipstream isn't going to affect these Clio Cups as much as, say, they would the Formulas, but it'll give a little something here. Fabio Zamperlini into the pit lane. He's going to get a fresh set of tires, come back out. Gerardo Ramos with a 113.2 his last lap, so he's taking a bit of a cool-down lap. And we do have 20 drivers. I see 3 drivers that haven't put in a time yet, though, Wei-Han, and it seems like they may be pushing their luck for how long they've got to go.
I think so too. I think the drivers who have yet to set a lap time are, some of them, they might want to kind of wait. They could be waiting until the last moments of the race, of the qualifying session, to put down their lap times, or they might just be content with starting from the rear later on, because the reverse grid is, I think it's limited only to 15 drivers. So if you miss out on even P15, you won't take advantage of the reverse grid. This is Gerardo Ramos, one of the more interesting drivers on the grid. When he's not racing, we would see puffs of smoke around in his background, but but now that he's racing, he's definitely 100% focused on setting down fast lap times. So he's going to come across the line with 105.732, which pushes him all the way up to third position on the qualifying tables. That's a good. That was a good attempt indeed. Gustavo Ariel up to fourth once again, 105.745. I'm kind of expecting a lot from Gustavo Ariel, because he's a world championship driver, but still good nonetheless. He's still giving all of the drivers in front a run for their money, Brad.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare off anyone when we talk about World Championship drivers. Of course, having that pro World Champion license, that doesn't mean that they're undefeatable here, because the fun with AMX is it's a variety of cars, variety of tracks. So they may have that World Championship license in road, but that may be because they're used to driving Formula cars or GT3s. You throw them in a completely different car at a different sort of track setup than what they're used to, you might find a little chink in that license, and they may not be the fastest. And as we're seeing right now, Gustavo Ariel, very, very consistent times as I look at the lap board. He's been very consistent all the way through, but he's not at the top of the leaderboards. Quentin Gunez, Gaston Kohavi, and Gerardo Ramos are giving him a run for his money. And of course, that's always the story with it. And just because in iRacing you may not have that 10.9K iRating A license, doesn't mean that you can't challenge it with the best of them. So I'm going to say it again as I said it in the intro, amxrace.com, sign up for a race coming up and see if you can't give these guys a run for their money.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it could be due to the fact that Guinea is a world champion, a league world champion with touring cars. So definitely racing these front-wheel drive Renault Clios would be up his alley, which could explain his market advantage ahead of the rest of the field. So yeah, that's that. Oh, he's set an even faster lap time of 1:05.543, 5:44 rather, and that kind of continues to keep him all the way up at pole position. So yeah, great stuff indeed, letting another car by. And I think at this point some of the drivers would start to kind of wind down with their qualifying attempts, and what's left to see would what remains would probably be for us to see if any other drivers would be able to set in some last ditch attempts to get their positions up. Sandra Boas, another lap time which pushes him up to 8th position.
Yeah, and of course, remember, the top driver here in qualifying gets paid out $7. So at the moment, Quentin Gunez with a very, very secure little spot. I say secure, but it's only a couple of tenths that he's up, about a tenth and a half that he's up. So he's not exactly super secure. Oh, what has happened here to, I believe that was Lapinda. I don't know what happened to him there, but now we watch Boas coming around, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, Wayhan, but I do want to touch on it again. It's a very, very undulating, up-down, twisty track, and the track doesn't give you a lot of time to really relax. So even though you kind of look at the overhead and you go, oh yeah, it's straight, there's a couple moments when you really get down at track level and you watch, these drivers don't get a lot of time to relax. So being able to eke out those lap times is really, really impressive to watch from all of our drivers.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I think that's the charm, I think, with many of the racetracks that were like built in the previous half of the previous century, in the middle of the previous century, you know, when tracks from those, you know, that time of history, they've always got so they will kind of design their tracks along with the terrain, unlike some of the cookie colored tracks that we see nowadays that are mostly flat or like the corners that don't really follow the terrain. But nonetheless, we you know, good that we still have. It's great that Alton Park hasn't really changed its layout throughout the history, apart from some chicanes here and there for safety reasons. But that doesn't affect this 2.54 kilometer long layout, which doesn't use any of the new chicanes that have been implemented. Of course, point to note though that these classic tracks, especially those in the UK, they are quite narrow. So. You know, that's where the element of the challenge comes in. Jackson Resende, we're riding on board, and I think he's starting to slow down a little bit as we come towards the final moments of qualifying.
30 seconds left to go. Make it 20 seconds before I can finish that sentence. And you can see several drivers going to the pits. A couple of drivers have timed it right where they have just enough time to try to put in that last ditch effort to see if they can improve through. Will anyone improve their way forward? I'm not going to say for sure. 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1, and not enough time to finish the laps. And that is going to be the session timer through. So as it sits, it was a very, very good run from Quentin Gunez, Gaston Kohavi, and Gerardo Ramos, finding their way into the top 3. Looking down the leaderboard, Jackson Resende in P12 currently challenging in for the top spot here in AMX 0 on the leaderboard, running for that GT Light. And then kind of looking around, we've got 20 drivers in, 3 of them didn't set a time, but it's going to be a very, very spicy Heat 1. Wei-Han, what do you think?
I think so too. So again, if the previous races were anything to go by, we would hopefully see quite a lot of overtaking action, because racing here at Oulton Park, overtaking it's possible. It's not the easiest, but it is possible, and it sometimes gets quite spicy indeed, especially if you're overtaking through areas with a lot of elevation changes. So for one, might see Corentin Guinet go for his signature overtaking moves through the whole grid, or we might see some of the other drivers also make it work. I like to also see how Gustavo Ariel does as he starts from 12th position.
Yep, just to remember, the top 15 get inverted around, so Nico Godoy is going to be our pole sitter here as it sits, even though we award the points back to Corentin Guinet, but we throw him back into P15 right in the mix of the pack to see how he can handle things through. It's a part of the charm here in AMX. You got to be able to carve through the field and go all the way forward as well. So as we wait for the drivers to get on the grid here for our standing start of Heat 1 of 2, should be just a few moments now as we wait. It looks like just a couple of drivers dragging their feet here, going through the timer, and we are just going to wait for our spotter and for Barney the Flagman to do their jobs and throw the green here. And it should be any second now. It's Nico Godoy and Diego Villarreal, Josh Purwine, and Jackson Rasinje will be the 4 cars up front that we're going to get to watch challenge. And
green flag.
There's the green flag call. Nico Godoy a little slow off the line there. Diego Villarreal very, very well off the line. Jackson Rasinje good there in P4. Josh Purwine in P3. And as we run through turn 1, it is Diego Villarreal who's going to get the jump on Nico Godoy. Nico Godoy, surprisingly, not with a livery for this car, just the carbon fiber cover, which I was expecting something different here. And Jackson Rasinje is going to be challenging up front. Already see some of the drivers in the back starting to shuffle around, but it seems like as we go through the first few corners, the bit of single file here and all the drivers kind of challenging through, trying not to do anything too crazy. Jackson Rasinje, as I say that, goes up the inside of Nico Godoy. Ariel up the inside of Fabulous Fabio Zamperlini. And there is Fernandez rounding out P15 as Casacura is P16. And we see here, again, the drivers coming down around. There's a dive around. Nico Godoy getting a bit swirly there, a bit on the grass. Going to slow him down a bit. Josh Purwine will be able to go up the inside, I believe, as we continue through. It's a lot of right-handers around this track. Not really any left-handers to be seen. So the inside line, that right-hand side, will always be your preferred side. Nico Godoy runs very wide, comes back on. He's going to lose several spots, and that is Maury in the back who's lost several spots as well. And as fast as I can talk, Wei-Han, we are through lap 1.
And
there's Nico Godoy.
Someone's gone around. That's number 5. Oh, that was an unfortunate start to Nico Godoy's race, Brett. He started from pole and another contact between Godoy and one of the other drivers, and that... Well, one of the things you get when you race at Oulton Park is that there is a higher likelihood of things happening. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself come into contact easily with the cars around you. So... well, that was an unfortunate outing for Godoy, but he's currently in 13th position, so yeah, he's lost quite a lot of positions. But Villarreal, your new race leader, and he leads the rest of the field by quite a comfortable margin.
Guinness dropping down into P16 there. I'm not sure what happened to him, but yeah, looking at that moment with Godoy there, it was 3-1, just didn't go. He became the sandwich there in the middle of several other cars, and some of those cars are very lucky they didn't get collected. But you could see there Godoy getting absolutely sent into the wall, and then they bounce back out into the racing line and collect more cars with them, unfortunately. And that is, as we talk about these narrow Britain tracks, it is, you have an incident, and if someone bounces back into the racing line, it's just going to make things 20 times worse for people. We're riding on board here with Josh Purwine, who is trying to hold off Silva here in P4, and it really is just a matter of hold on, do the best you can, and just make those Clio Cups as wide as you can. I know Renault only made them so wide, but if you can find a little bit more space in them, you need to find it here as we go through. Wei-Han, it's a 12-lap race, and we're already through the 3rd lap here. Silva's making a run on Purwine up the inside, maybe a little bit of contact there, but again, it is Josh Purwine who is going to be in the preferred line of that inside run. Can Silva find a move here, Wei-Han? He's out the outside, and I think that is going to be P3.
Yep, so a move that's, is it going to be decisive? No, I think Josh Perrin is going to retake that move from along the inside. So both of them now go side by side along the along the main stretch, and it's probably going to be another 3 wide attempt as we saw just now earlier on. But how will this turn out to be? It seems to be a turn out fine. Oh no, as you just said that the number 10 gets a little bit lifted to the rear end, then he loses a couple of positions, and of course Josh Perrin currently still holding 3rd position. Petromura in 4th, and Gustavo Ariel made the climb to 5th position, taking advantage of that bit of a slide by Nicolas Silva, who currently sits in 6th position. So Gustavo Ariel continues to ride in 5th position as we've come towards we've just completed a third of the race, and we've got 8 laps of racing left to go. And you can just observe how well he's. Typically, we would see Gustavo Ariel race the Porsche 911 Cup cars, so this Clio Cup might be a little bit different than what he would use to race, and that seems to be Perwin has gone way out wide, which opens the door for Petromura to kind of think of an overtake move. Mura definitely makes that work, and Josh Perwin currently defends the outside line as he does have a hot Gustavo Ariel coming alongside him along the main stretch once again. So Perwin unfortunately losing 2 positions. But that does mean that Petromura moves up to 3rd, with Gustavo Ariel making it up to 4th position.
Hold your breath all the way through, because the action is packed top to bottom. We check in there with Diego Villarreal, who is trying to fend off a feisty Jackson Resenje, and now Pedro Mora running a little bit wide there, and that is going to open up the room for his teammate there, Gustavo Ariel, to come through, and he is going to make his way through there, the world champion license, into P3 now, up towards the front. And as we continue to watch the drivers fight all the way through, Diego Villarreal is going to have a big challenge on his hands here as he tries to fight off Jackson Resenje. Look at the bottom right corner of your screen there, because they're side by side all the way through, because that is going to be a big battle there in for P6 all the way through, and Silva is able to get past Zamperlini to get onto P6 there. Nico Godoy working his way up into P15 now. Nico Godoy, of course, started from the field, had a moment, fell back. Cortiguinez in P16 after starting P15, so he's actually lost a spot. Our fastest man in qualifying, he's lost another spot. But we got our eyes up here up front. Josh Perwine going around again with Fabio Zamperlini, and here we go, because Silva will be in the mix as well, or Kohalvi will be in the mix as well, I'm sorry. Diego Villarreal does lose his spot to Jackson Resenje. Looks like he ran a little bit wide somewhere, because Jackson Resenje already has over a second of a gap, so now Jackson Resenje needs to just hit the loud pedal and go, Wayhan.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. So, Resende continues to lead the race, although his gap is starting his gap is kind of maintaining, and his advantage is maintaining within 9/10 of a second, so quite healthy indeed. What's this? Another huge battle here. Josh Perrin is always within, he always finds himself in battles, and is taking that corner wide once again, so he's just been coming under a bit of pressure from what I would believe to be Petromura at this point. So Zamperlini behind Josh Perrin, and it does seem that Zamperlini wants to go for an attempt on 5th position, and of course we do have a picture-in-picture perspective of Resende's overtake on Villarreal, so that would appear to be Villarreal, who's unfortunately spun wide. Well, I think I've also noticed something here racing with watching these drivers race here at Alton Park, is that some of the exit curbs, beyond the curb itself, on the grass itself, you also have a part of the grass where you can kind of run your car without spinning out, and drivers seem to be taking good liberty using that. So in some ways it's quite similar to what you have at one of the left-handers at Brands Hatch as well. They can use quite a bit of the grass without popping out and off track. So Zamperlini along what would be the inside of Josh Perwin, as both of them nearly come wheel to wheel. Zamperlini's move up to 5th position. Oh, a bit slidey there, goes Zamperlini. So Perwin continues to hold on to his position. Yeah, and along comes Gaston Kohalvi as well. So yeah, we do have a 5-way party going on. Oh no, that's the car of Kohalvi, who's been spun around. Unfortunately, a bit of contact there, and he's the one who's lost positions hand over fist.
Yeah, I was getting ready to make the comment that one small error, like what happened to Zamperlini, can cost you several places, and then it looks like that was just getting sent around. That was a very, very unfortunate moment there, because that drops him way back in the attack. And now we see Fabrizio Belziti getting a move on Zamperlini there. And Fabrizio Belziti seems to have some really, really good pace here in these Clio Cups as well. This is a very, very close racing all the way through. And that's what I was wondering when I mentioned it in qualifying, all those qualifying times being within just a second or so of each other. How was it going to build the racing, especially when you invert the top 15? And it goes to show it gives you a very, very close competitive racing all the way through. Fabio Zamperlini has a heck of a job right now defending from Silva. He's doing a very, very good job, I must say. Zamperlini, with that very, very smooth shaved head, is doing a good job to get that little bit of pace with less hair. Now we check back in up front. Diego Villarreal got passed by Jackson Resenje, and now he's going to be under pressure from Gustavo Ariel. Ariel showing some good pace here as well today, but you would expect that from the 10,901 I rating. And now Diego Villarreal with that beautiful setup that it's like a recline. Actually, no, he's got an actual seat there. I think he just has a sheet on it, and then he's got the Logitech set up and tightened down to the table. I love his setup because it goes to show you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a setup. You can get away with, the kitchen table. That's how I started out. I started out with a kitchen table and a laptop and a dream. Here I am later. But Diego Villarreal needs to find all the skill in his setup to defend against Gustavo Ariel. And Weihan, it is one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. Ariel's got 3 laps to do it. Can he do it?
So we come for one of the nice sections of this Autumn Park circuit. Well, it is a short track, so the corners are kind of rinsing and repeating, and every corner looks quite similar to the other. Diego Villarreal continues to lead Gustavo Ariel, so it will be Villarreal who is trying his best to defend his position. So will Ariel kind of think of an overtaking move, a bit of a bumping there into turn 1. So overtaking move not exactly successful. Villarreal continues to defend his second position, and Gustavo Ariel will have to continue to scheme for his move. So you can kind of see how much pressure Villarreal is coming under. It is quite a lot of pressure, especially if you're defending against such a fast driver and over the curbs. Well, these Renault Clio curbs, I think you can kind of take these cars over the curbs quite fine there. So that's absolutely fine. Ariel continues in third, and we can just kind of look from the perspective of Ariel, and can just see how undulating this track is at various points, and at the same time how much flow this track is, so you can definitely carry through a lot of momentum as you're racing. Well, that is Gustavo Ariel, who's obviously trying to find the next opportunity for overtaking to work. So you can tell that it is a little bit difficult for you to make an overtaking move as they come upon the final corner here. Well, this left king, can you think of it as a corner? It kind of is, well, even though it's straight. So Ariel, along the outside of the main stretch, makes the move up for second position, and he's managed to break through Villarreal's defenses to take P2.
I'm going to make a Disney joke here. I wonder how Ariel drives with flippers. I had to do it. Sorry. I've been thinking it for like 5 minutes now. I had to do it. Anyways, Ariel up into P2, and now he's got a big challenge. 2 seconds and 2 laps to try to catch and maybe pass Jackson Resenje. He's showing some good pace, but Jackson Resenje we know is very, very strong. Gerardo Ramos dropping back to P13 in the background, but Diego Villarreal is going to continue to try to push and challenge up against Ariel, holding onto that 0.4 of a second, slowly but surely. And it seems like as we hit lap 11 of 12, for the most part, everyone is relaxing a little bit, maybe. I probably shouldn't commentators curse this, but you know how things go around here. I have to say something, otherwise I'd be wrong. And now Pedro Mora is a 1.5 seconds back. Fabrizio Belziti 0.6 of a second, and Weihan, we're starting the final lap, and Belziti showing a bit more pace here than Pedro Mora. Can he pass him on the final lap? But Zamperlini also being faster. Zamperlini getting the mix as well here, as we have just under 2 kilometers to go.
Yes, there's white flag in the air, and when white flag waves, it kind of means you have to drop everything and just go at it, or whatever strategy you might be. So, the Clio Cup making good use of the apex curves there. That was Pedro Moura who got sent 2 wheels up there. Exciting stuff indeed. So Pedro Moura continues in 4th position ahead of Fabrizio Belziti, and along this stretch here before, of course, Pedro Moura definitely trying his best to defend his 4th position. As we come towards the final lap of racing. So halfway through the lap. We've got a couple of corners left. I think 2 corners or 3 corners left towards the end of the race. So Resende, the driver who's taken advantage of sequences of events to have unfolded, it would be Jackson Resende who will come across the start-finish line and take the race win of Heat 1 here at Alton Park, with Gustavo Ariel, who's done a great job climbing 10 positions where he started from the finish in second. Oh, a bit of pressure as Diego Villarreal makes it home in third, and Pedro Moura and Fabrizio Belzidi come home in fourth and fifth, respectively. Brad, I think it was such a... Well, I think it was a good balance between safe racing and competitive racing in so many ways, and I think it couldn't have been more well-balanced than what this race had been.
Yeah, we had some big moments there, and it's so fun to watch because we had some of those big moments. We had some nice side-by-side racing. We had some sandwiches in the mix as well. But as we see the Michelin Man of Kim coming across the line to be one of the last drivers through, and it is going to be a case of now reset, get ready for another 12 laps of action because, again, we invert the top 15 yet again. We pay out the points here, and then we invert it again, and we go for another 12 laps, guys. We're not done yet as we wait for Kim to cross the line. Kim crosses the line there with a 1:10.7 to finish it off. A little bit slower than the qualifying pace we saw, but hey, it's the Tony Kanaan boys up there running the front, taking P1, P2, P4 with the SART driver of Diego Villarreal able to hold on to number 3. And then, of course, Voracious Racing, Fabrizio's Belzidi up in P5, Fabio Zamperlini in P6 there, the slick-haired man, Nicholas Silva in P7, Josh Perwine, and then Lapinda. All the way down, you can see the rest of the drivers. Corentin Gunes finishing P15, and now for Corentin Gunes, who won our qualifying session, Corentin Gunes shuffles to the front here for Heat 2. Wei Han at this point, he just needs to hold on to the front. We know he has pace. He just had an unfortunate Heat 1, and can he hold on here for Heat 2? What's going to happen, Wei Han?
Well, we do see a fast Corentin Guines starting from the front, so I am quite confident that he will probably hold on to the race lead because that's where he is. So it is green flag and we're off, and already Gerardo Ramos makes the move up for third position. Someone there's trying, I think that's Amarante was trying to make the squeeze happen. Now that's Simon Di Mori indeed. Some other overtaking moves happening back here, a little bit cleaner than the first heat we might see. So drivers are kind of going into 2 fouls here, racing here at Alton Park. Of course, going 3 wide here at Alton Park is always going to result in some dangerous outcomes. So Corentin Guines leads the race with Gerardo Ramos, who's had a great start. I think an even better start than Guines indeed to go up to second position, and the rest of the drivers from halfway point onwards are also getting by. Well, so this is Guines who comes around the halfway point of the lap before coming on to the next series of corners. 2-3 corners here. Well, one lap around here is quite fast, so you know one lap, so it's quite easy to well, the laps kind of come and go very quickly indeed. So it is going to be the end of the first lap as Guines leads the field around the final corner for the first time, and the positions have kind of remained still, apart from 2 drivers who have dropped positions. So most of the drivers, so it is still status quo ever since the start of the grid. But I think the race has still been quite steady at this point. I don't think we might see big moments this time.
Hold your breath, though, because we're only lap 2 of 12. We've got plenty of time to see moments here, because there is Eramonte going up the inside to try to go around the outside there of Fabrizio Belzidi and can't make it stick. So Amarante will lose a position there, and then Silva's going to come right around the inside as well. And now watch out, Tony Kanaan boys are on the hunt because Mora comes through. Ariel will be the next driver to look up the inside, and there it goes again. Amarante is losing out a bit of pace here. Doesn't seem to have the pace up front, or is just getting caught outside to outside as the drivers come around. The corners here continuing through. They go underneath Water Tower, I believe, is where they're at on the track. I can recognize Alton Park, as I probably should be able to as a sim racing commentator. And now they come around down the hill, and it's going to be a matter of holding on as much as they can. They come out of Lodge Corner here. Oh, big incident. Oh, and there goes the number 10. That's Silva, and that's going to collect Godoy as well. That also will take out several drivers there. Diego Villarreal getting in the mix of that as well. I believe that was a big moment there. And again, that shows that main straight, very, very narrow. Can't hold on to it. That's the number 17, Amori, who's going very wide, loses out of position to Gas Uncle Halvey. And Wayhan, so many moments happening. You said everybody was behaving themselves. What did you do, Wayhan?
I thought the drivers would have gotten a bit of an experience after a quite an eventful race one, but well, I guess, you know, when you take cars onto Oldham Park, you know, things do happen, especially with front-wheel drive cars where drivers are kind of encouraged to go bumper to bumper. So yes, I was wrong there. Gustavo Ariel currently in 8th, so he was fighting very far up front earlier on. Right now he's just made his way past the mid-pack. He's climbed 6 positions, so I suppose he will continue climbing as he tries to close up his gap with the drivers up in front. So Ariel leads Pedro Moura, who's currently who's set in 9th position. As we have a look at Simon Di Mori, I think we've not seen much of Di Mori in the first heat, but right now in the second heat he's fighting very hard up front. He started where he began from. So we have a quick look of the picture-in-picture replay of the crash on the 3rd lap, and you can just see how quickly the incident unfolded, and the black Renault Clio Cup car there in front was kind of sitting there. He had no idea what exactly came for him as he got caught up in that incident there. But that kind of means that 3 or more drivers have had to retire from the second heater. Oh, another potential. Oh, that was very close. That was so close. That would seem to be Erwin or LCD who got tangled there. That is Josh Byrne who had quite a hit from the behind, and he's lost a couple of positions there.
Yeah, Josh Perwin a little bit slow there on the inside of the corner, and Pedro Mora came through and said, "Boink, hello, I'm going to bump and run you," as Dale Earnhardt would like to say. Dale Earnhardt would be very, very much a fan of that push, that bump and run that was just pulled off, or, you know, maybe Denny Hamlin. Depends on if you're a modern NASCAR fan or not. There's a good conversation to be had there about NASCAR. But as we watch here, Josh Perwine has been kind of caught out there. Started out P8, only a P9 now. Gustavo Ariel has moved up quite a bit. Fabio Zamperlini's up a bit. Mori has been doing well to hold on to that P4, but up front, Corentin Gunez is doing well to hold on as well. Ariel trying to muscle his way forward, but you can see that gap is just a bit too much ahead of him, so we're looking behind. He needs to really, really be defensive here, because if Fabrizio Belziti has anything to say about it, Fabrizio Belziti is going to say, "Thank you very much, I want a little bit more money," and we'll take that P6 as quick as he can here. And you can see a little bit later on the brakes there, but Gustavo Ariel, cool, calm, collected here in these Renault Clio Cups, and is going to just keep looking his way forward. You can see him looking at the wheel, just kind of looking around, trying to figure out what his best move is here to try to find a bit of time to the car ahead. Good competitive battles all the way through the field here, and all of the drivers are really just holding their breath, trying to survive here, and we're halfway through the heat. You can see how things stand right now. We've lost several drivers: Villarreal, Godoy, Silva, Casacorta, Armante, and Lapenda, all the drivers that we have lost so far in this Heat 2 from that big incident on lap 3. Fabrizio Belziti, though, looks cool, calm, and collected down there in the bottom left as well, and is just trying to pick his moment against Ariel. Everyone hold your breath, as we are at lap 6 of 12, and Wayhan, for the moment, I think you can say everyone's a little bit relaxed.
Well, I can feel so. Yeah, we've come to the halfway point of the race, Brad, and yeah, you can kind of get a feel that things are a little more relaxed than the first heat, which is quite interesting, because there are some races that we've seen where the second heat usually gets spicier, because there's there is no reverse grid after this, and eventually the drivers are just fighting exactly for position. That is Marco Barbanera, who's joined us in the comments. Good to see you, Marco. Buonasera. Hope you're doing well there, Marco. And I think Marco is definitely going to join us once again in some of the subsequent broadcasts later on in the month. Pedro Moura continues to sit in 8th position. He's leading Josh Perwin, who sits in 9th, as Sandro Boas in 10th position. So, yeah, chill racing nonetheless. I would hope for the race to continue like this towards the end, so that the drivers can all of them can at least take something home and not kind of find themselves up in the wall.
Yeah, you hit that challenging point when you're in the back half of this second heat where it really becomes the conversation of how much are you willing to risk? Are you going to dive in for that little bit extra, or are you going to hold on to where you're at? And they're racing drivers, of course, they're going to push a little bit more here. Fabio Zamperlini just proving the point here is looking around. Mori looked up the inside, is going to dive back to the outside here, and now he's going to try to slot in. Look at this, little bit of a switchback. He's trying to make Mori go defensive, take a compromise line. You can see Fabio very happy with what he's doing here. He's very relaxed. Little bit of a grin there on his face, depending on how you see Zamperlini's grin. Zamperlini can be grinning and you not realize it. And there we go. He's looking again up that inside. Can he make that position happen? He's still holding on. Now watch, Ariel's in the mix though. Ariel a little bit under the sea compared to where Ariel would like to be there in P6. And Ariel's going to kind of sit back behind Zamperlini here and say, you know what, if Zamperlini gets through, is there a bit of room for me to kind of go through as well? And then can I push around Zamperlini? They're playing chess while we watch checkers here, Weihan. It's a game of chess and checkers, and for the drivers, they're looking for the ultimate checkmate. And if you're wondering where all the puns are from, I learned from Reed, and you can lodge all complaints with Reed on his next broadcast.
Yeah, I think I remember one driver who would play chess while he was in the pits. I think it was Victor Miranda who would do that. So this is Zamperlini once again is under pressure by Ariel. So Gustavo Ariel would he tried to make an overtaking move along that racing line there. We've also got a Fabrizio Belziti who's not too far behind at all, currently in 7th position. So swapping of positions between Belziti and Ariel. Definitely some great stuff indeed. Yeah, so you can see these two drivers, they are going side by side through these corners. Yeah, absolutely great racing there. Making good use of the exit curb. That's the number 8 machine. Yeah, definitely. So it's anyone's game at this point. Ariel and Belziti definitely within the hairline of each other. So both drivers fighting up there indeed. Bumper to bumper action. We're gonna see something else happen at this point, or are we going to see Gustavo Ariel receiving some good slipstream? So we're now back with Simon Di Mori, our driver from Austria, the only driver from Austria on the grid. He's currently set in 4th position, coming under some pressure from Fabio Zamperlini, but otherwise fighting quite comfortably right now.
Yeah, Mori looks cool, calm, collected, and like the pressure is nothing to him because he has already pulled out 9/10 of a second, the gap there that he's pulled on Fabio Zamperlini. And of course, Zamperlini 1.8 seconds up on Ariel. But Ariel wishes he had that 1.8 second gap here because look at this, Belziti still applying pressure. And Pedro Moore is in the mix as well here. We're lap 10 of 12, just a couple laps left to go here in this AMX 0 race. And again, nothing after this. This is it. You need to send it or you need to send it at this point. Because once this Heat 2 is over, where things stand, you don't get any do-overs here after the second heat. Belziti, cool, calm, collected yet again. You can see him. He's looking. He's trying to pick his move here as we go through. And Fabrizio Belziti is just going to be looking for the moment for Ariel to have a little bit of a slip, go a little bit too deep into the corner. Where is it going to happen? And he's also trying to look behind there because Pedro Mora is having all the same thoughts. Where are you going to make the error? Where are you going to get a little too aggressive? Where can I fight my way through? Where do I have the pace on you? And as you can see, Pedro Mora does have a bit more pace there than Belziti. Belziti's actually the slow one out of the three there. As you see, Ariel just about almost a 10th faster than Belziti as well. You might say, well, a 10th, it's not a lot, but around a small track like this where a lap is just over a minute, it can make a world of difference. Lap 11 of 12 here, we are almost through, and the top four look very comfortable, but this battle in the mid-pack is anything but decided. And Weihan, who are you putting your money on? Because I have my money that Ariel holds on.
Well, that's a good question. Look, if Heat 1 was anything to go by, I think you're not safe putting your money on any driver at this point. But yeah, you're right. It's really hard to tell because although the gap is quite sizable, Belziti might just be able to close the gap within whenever he decides to. So white flag is in the air. That means that Guinea has passed the start finish line, and that also means that Belziti would definitely be trying his best to close up the gap. So 0.4 of a second could change within the span of, well, let's say within the span of this one lap. So we'd see what goes on there. So sorry, Brad, I don't have my money on any driver because all of them are equally competitive.
That is the correct answer to have as a commentator. So I'll play the bias game. It's fine. Fabio Zamperlini, though, with a challenge on Mori here in the dying light of this second heat here. And you can see Fabio Zamperlini knows that his chances are limited, and he is pushing. Watch this. Mori, very, very defensive. It might be some bumper action here. And if you wonder how close a tenth of a second looks here in these Renault Clio Cup cars, there's your answer. They're very, very close there. That's a tenth of a second for you in perspective. Mori doing well to hold on there. The car is as wide as it is fast. And he's just pushing through here through the final moments as we jump on board. Corentin Yunez, the light flash of happiness, is through to win our Heat 2, our pole sitter there in the qualifying session. He wins Heat 2, and as we watch on, Mori is not able to get, or Mori holds on to the position from Zamperlini, and our drivers all the way through the field doing very well to hold on to position there. It is Belziti, Mora, Boas, kind of finishing how they were there through those last couple of laps. Nobody's able to get past Ariel there. Josh Perwine finishing out a good P10, and now we watch as the last few drivers will come through. We'll have to wait on Kim, Villarreal, Silva, Godoy, and Casacorta, who all had some very, very unfortunate moments there on that early lap collision that it feels like was so long ago, but it was just maybe 10 minutes ago. But we'll watch the drivers come through and finish. Godoy could possibly have a run here for P16 on Silva. No additional points on the table, but it would be for all the glory. But you can see dropping back a bit. The drivers just comfortably pacing these Clio Cups in. I say comfortably pacing, but they're putting times that are better than I could do, honestly. As we watch here, Nico Godoy, our final driver across the line, and Weihan for AMX 0, that is going to be it. Oh, I'm glad you don't have to pay for damages on these cars there. Silva sends it into the wall on the main straight.
You know, Brad, every time I see someone crash off slip, I get a bit paranoid. Yeah. Well, the good thing with sim racing is that you do have a reset button, unlike in real life where you don't always walk off well. But anyways, your results from Heat 2 of racing here. Corentin Guinet is your BenQ session winner of Heat 2 here at Alton Park, with Gerardo Ramos, who's put on a great show, coming home in second position, and Gaston Coulomb with the Simon Di Mori in fourth, and Fabio Zamperlini rounding off your top 5 drivers. So a great outcome, a great second heat in so many ways, Brad. I think it was definitely more cordial than we'd expect, especially considering that these drivers are driving the Renault Clio Cups, which are kind of like mini TCR cars, but with the same kind of close racing that we get, because that is a little slower paced. So I think it's been such a great outcome indeed. We've had quite a good balance of close racing and safe racing, as well as some shunts here and there. And I think we've kind of had a bit of everything in so many ways.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines that you can take there from those two heats, from that qualifying session, and you can carry them forward. And it goes to show that every AMX race is different. You mentioned these cars are like TCR cars, but you can really see how varying the field can be all the way through. And I keep looking over at the leaderboard because I think the big thing that shocks me is Jackson Resenje only building his way up into P11. I thought he would work his way up further there in Heat 2. But the good news is the racing action isn't over today. We've got another round of AMX 10 coming up here shortly. And Weihan, I know you are excited. I'm very excited. Look at him rubbing his hands. He's real excited. I'm not going to spoil the car track combo yet, but I will say, me and Weihan are going to take a break. There is still time to sign up for AMX 10, so if you want to see what's coming up, amxrace.com, the Discord, the Twitter, the Twitch, the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube, all the places to go to. Me and Weihan are going to take a quick break, get real excited for what's coming up. Hold your breath. We'll be back here shortly for AMX 10.
Sitting by the window this feeling now is so ethereal. Oh, this life, it's ephemeral, but this timeless moment is so
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Good day, mate. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's you can read the screen and see where we're at, so it's only appropriate that I introduce it that way. Welcome everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. If you are having a good day and you love sim racing as much as I do, you already know this track and I don't need to give any further introductions. It is Mount Panorama. It's Supercars. It is the quintessential Australian run. Daniel Ricciardo, Oscar Piastri. You love to see it. It is going to be a lot of action all the way through. And of course, it's me and Wei-Han coming to bring it to you. We are, of course, not upside down. We are on the right side of the globe. So Wei-Han, good evening, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, well, stepping off from the previous race over at Alton Park was such an excitement, and okay, we've come to another kind of touring car style of racing, and when this kind of touring car called the V8 Supercars is, well, it's rear-wheel drive, high torque, heavy racing machines from down under. And I'll tell you something. I remember racing these V8 Supercars on this exact track, Mount Panorama, just around 8 to 9 years ago, and I remember farming this almost every afternoon. It was one of the places where I would go racing back then in the 2015 V8 Supercars iRacing officials, and to kind of see these cars come racing here again, it's such an experience. It's so many memories that'll kind of be brought back to me.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very challenging and exciting track to see. And if you've never ran this car track combo, it is a very, very essential car track combo to have under your belt. But let's go ahead and talk about the league, because if you're new to AMX and you're like, okay, so what is AMX? Let's introduce you to it. Of course, we started this season on September 20th. We're in race day number 20. We run all the way till December 10th. $25,000 prize pool being given out. It's the most races in a year, the most variety of car tracks in a year. And if you see someone else doing it, they took the idea from us. Race format, it's a 15-minute qualifying session. Put down the fastest lap you can, and then we're going to invert the top 15 and go through, and then we're going to invert the top 15 after the first heat and go into another heat. We pay out for every single heat and the qualifiers even. We'll pay you for how you qualify, and if you can work your way all the way back up, we'll pay you a bit more. Somebody in the background just went off, but hey, they're just getting that out of their system now before the qualifying session. And I hear you saying, okay, Bradley, so any more things I need to know about? Yeah, AMX 10, joining the Zoom is required to be paid. And you'd find that link on the Discord or on amxrace.com. We pay out over $100 each month if you've earned enough there. And we race on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you're wondering where you can join, amxrace.com is the place to go. And if you're wondering, okay, cool, you have my interest, when do you race? We are, of course, in the AMX 10 session, and this is the Eastern time. So it's AMX 10, 9:20 p.m., 2:20 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And that is just to give a bit more accessibility through to let our friends over in the US get things together and get joining. And of course, if you are of the European persuasion, it is going to be a little bit different looking for you because you are in the Saturday evening right now, 7:20 p.m. and 7:20 p.m. on Sundays. Of course, remember 2:20 a.m. on Thursdays. It's doable. Just make sure you drink a couple energy drinks, have some nice tea beside you, and be ready to go there because that is going to be a rough race for you if you're not a night owl. And I hear everyone saying, okay, Brad, you have my interest. I know when you race, how much do you pay me? Well, look at the numbers on your screen. Let's answer that one real quick. So you qualify in first place, it's $40. But remember, after the heats, we're going to reverse the grid. So you go all the way back to 15th. If you survive and you make your way all the way back up into first place, another $40. If you flip your way back around again and go back up into the front in heat 2, it's $40, all the way down to $3 for 15th place and $5 for the fastest lap. But remember, that zoom camera is required, and you find the link on amxrace.com or on the Discord. $601 being given out every time we run an AMX 10. But I have to say, that's not the only thing we're giving out. Thanks to the wonderful friends at Next Level Racing, they have thrown a FGT Elite into the mix. So if you top AMX 10's leaderboard, you get the FGT Elite. So they're putting a lot of faith behind us. They're putting a lot on the line here, and all you have to do is just race. Just do something that you already do for fun. Come in, make a bit of money, and hey, maybe win yourself a sim rig. And if you're wondering who's on the list to win that FGT Elite right now, it's Diogo Pinto, who is currently up on top with 827 points. Quarantine Gunez, 794 points. Kyle Valero, 754. It's a very, very close run in those top three. And then you can look all the way through some of the big names, Fabrizio Belziti, Jackson Resende from AMX Zero that we talk about a bit. And of course, you can see all the way down our top 12 with a pretty good spread through, but those top 4 really, really competitive right now. But hey, remember, this is a join as you can league. If you can't join today, but you can join tomorrow, don't join today and join tomorrow. And you can still compete your way up to the front. You might be saying, okay, so what's the average that I'm going to earn? And well, we've kind of done the math. And if you look, Enzo Benito has ran one race, averaged $95 winning. Chris Lolum averages $78 each race. He's ran 5. Diogo Pinto, 12 races, averages $68. And if you think about the fact that we pay out on $100, that means they just have to run 2 races and they've already made money. And you can see all the way down, all of our top 12 here average over $50, including Max Verstappen, Ole Steinbraten, Gustavo Ariel. And you can see all the way through our top 12 average winnings are above $50, which means for you, hey, maybe every other race you're going to earn $100 to be paid out. That's a pretty substantial amount just for doing something you already do that you already enjoy. And maybe you're saying, hey, $10 is a bit steep for me. Well, listen, the first 10 entries for every AMX 10 race is free. We open them up on a rolling basis on amxrace.com. So after the first 10 race signups, it goes back to a $10 entry fee. So remember, check amxrace.com, bookmark it, have it pull up for your homepage, and just check what entries are open. Because if you want to earn nothing but cash just for doing what you already do, just sign up for AMX 10, be quick enough on the draw, and you don't have to pay a penny, and we're just going to pay you to do what you do. And with all of that out of the way, I am going to turn things over to Wei-Han, who is extremely excited. And I'm going to let him introduce this beautiful, beautiful Australian countryside track.
So yes, absolutely. We've come to what is none other than the home of Australian motorsports in so many ways. Although this place doesn't host Formula 1 racing, it hosts every other kind of tin-top car racing here, and it's definitely one of the most storied places in Australian motorsports. So we are at Bathurst, Mount Panorama, which, well, this place, it is in fact a street circuit, even though it doesn't look like one. It is a street circuit. All of this track is accessible by the public, although you have a strict 60 km/h speed limit in real life, so you can't really go trekking around this track. But of course, along this track, you've got a good combination of high-speed sections. You've got a very fast chase that's along this backstretch here that you can see somewhere along in the background. Yes, this Conrad Straight here, indeed, and you've also got a very tricky mountain section that usually rewards drivers who are very careful and not necessarily sending the car into the wall. So of course, the car of choice, the only car that's the most appropriate for racing here at Mount Panorama, the V8 Supercars. So these are the latest. No, I think these are the previous generation V8 Supercars that have been used in Australia. So this is the 2019 Holden Commodore as well as Ford Mustang. No Ford Falcons, unfortunately. Those were great cars that have kind of gone the way of the dodo bird, unfortunately, in V8 Supercar racing. So even though if you drive this car, even though it feels heavy, it's only 1,400 kilograms, so it's not exactly a heavy car, although it feels heavy. So 600 plus horsepower, immense amount of torque, which makes these cars, set off the line really quickly in so many ways. And of course, it's what is the car that's most similar to this would probably be in many ways the Brazilian stock cars as well as NASCAR. So these cars demand a lot of respect. Brad, something interesting about these cars, I find that the headlights are paintable, very much similar to the Brazilian stock cars as well. Just an interesting detail here. And in fact, the original V8 Supercars that iRacing brought, you couldn't paint the headlights, but the later generation ones, you could. And that's just an additional detail there that all of us V8 Supercar fans love. Well, interesting to note though, these cars this series is no longer called V8 Supercars, it's just called Supercars on its own, because the regulations allow for engines that are not V8s, although no manufacturer has decided to do that thus far.
Smart on their part, yeah. V8, screaming V8s. They're called screaming V8s, and I was gonna scream, but I'm not gonna do that. I really thought about it. I thought about just yelling to try to simulate a V8 engine, but not gonna do that, even though, it would be appropriate for what we're doing here. Yeah, I won't do that, but I will say, personal experience with this track, these drivers need to have a bit of bravery. One of my favorite things to do is to actually watch the all of the endurance racing that goes on at Bathurst. The 12 Hours of Bathurst is one of my favorite things to watch, and the Bathurst 1000. It's something that I just enjoy watching the drivers do the best they can around this track, because you have to have some guts to go around this track. I will say the going up the hill, going up through the cutting, up towards Skyline, the S's, the Dipper, you really got to be brave to go through. So, Weihan, I don't know what your personal experience is racing this track. I know you said you've ran, I believe, this specific car track setup in a league before. Did I hear that right?
I've done this so many times in the past. So back in 2014 to 2016 was the period of time where I was active with the V8 Supercars. Although I wasn't using this, I was using the Car of the Future generation of V8 Supercars, so the one that came before this. Of course, in iRacing, you have a total of 3 separate generations of V8 Supercars. This is the one that's the most recent, which I haven't really driven. We'll just probably go through a lap here as we ride with Facundo Rago as he takes on the mountain part of the circuit. So we're now coming upon the highest point of the circuit, that's known as Brock Skyline. Before then, any point from here onwards would be downhill. So coming down the Dipper, because you've got that sudden drop there. You now try to keep left as much as possible before then. For this corner, down Forest Elbow, you try to brake before the previous apex there. So you want to get this corner absolutely right. You have to get the corners. Get the corners spot on, which will allow you the best run down this backstretch. Although Facundo Rago seems to be lifting a little bit. So do we like the V8 sound? Yes, I love it. I hope the viewers do too, and I hope you do too, Brad. There's just something about this engine, and the sound response you get when you put your right foot down. It's something that maybe only NASCAR and the Brazilian stock cars are comparable to this feeling. And you come upon the chase, or obviously that chase right there was the right-hander, fastest corner in Australian motorsport, as they like to put it, when they're coming up on the final corner. So certainly a track that's it's everything. It represents everything we aspire to enjoy in motor racing.
I think the last corner and the first corner are my two favorite corners here that Mount Panorama has, because of the names. If you look up a track map for Mount Panorama, you'll learn this. The final corner is called Murray's Corner. The first corner is called Hell Corner. And I don't think you could have two varying differences in names there. And Boas, as he comes through Murray's corner and is going to go down the pit straight here and get things set up to start a lap. Remember, this is one of those times where long laps are expected. And what's going to get interesting with this is we have a 15-minute qualifying session. And let's contrast this to the AMX Zero race. AMX Zero race, a lap was about 106, 107 is what we are seeing for a lap. For a fast lap. A lap around here is going to take over 2 minutes to go through in these cars, and it's very challenging. So if you make an error going up the hill here, is we'll probably see several drivers do, as they tend to do in real life quite a bit. I've seen many safety cars groan because of the hill getting jammed up. But if you cause an error there, you have to go back to pits and then do another 2-minute out lap to then start another push lap and hopefully get one in. So it's really going to be a case of what driver can push the most, have that much skill, and maybe just a little bit of luck on his side so the mountain doesn't eat him up. Because all of the uphill for me is personally the most challenging. Some people might say the downhill is the most challenging, but for me it's the uphill. The uphill is where I tend to have the biggest moments, if I have them on this track.
Well, the thing with the uphill section is that you require, well, you have to be on your toes all the time. You have to ensure that you keep your line, right? You want to ensure that you don't touch the walls, so you don't go too close to the walls. And for the downhill, it's all about being precise, ensuring that you hit the brakes at the right time and not miss your braking points. You cannot miss your braking points along the downhill section, or you'll find yourself up against the wall. We do have some home ground advantage there. This is Josh Perwin, who was formerly from Exo Sports. Well, I was at his former team HQ just earlier this week with Amir Haziq. So Josh Perwin, a very fast driver indeed from Australia. He's racing this beautifully put together Holden V8 supercar. Good choice there, racing the Holden Commodores. I'm Holden fan here. I'm not sure if curious about what your allegiance is with the V8 supercars here, Brad, but this is Josh Perwin coming around the forest elbow before then coming on the longest stretch here at Bathurst. So right here, it's of course during the race itself, it's plenty of opportunities for slipstreaming, but otherwise, it's all about just nailing your right foot down the loud pedal before then making the not using the runoff there. So I think I just noticed that with these new V8 supercars, you probably have a bit more downforce, so you're able to set faster lap times, because back when I used to run V8 supercars, the fast lap times would have been around 2:06, and the fact that these drivers can pull a 2:03 means that perhaps these cars are a little they've got a little more downforce as compared to before, and I think that's a good thing, Brett.
Yeah, you ask about my allegiance to the supercars, and I will tell you my allegiance is to the Republic. It's to democracy. No, but seriously, I am American, so I'm going to be a little bit biased towards the Fords. And right now, Connor Nixon, who is a fellow countryman here, is in a 2:03.973, currently sitting on that top step in a Ford, I must say. And it's interesting to note that his fellow countryman, Josh Perwin, is in the Holden. So you see representation all the way around. The grid's pretty well evenly split between Holden and Ford. And yeah, I'm American, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm not going to lie. The Ford is pretty nice. However, you are running the Australian track. It does make sense to run the Holden, honestly. It's one of those, either car is a good option. It's not bad either way. So good choices all the way around. We'll see how the drivers get along here as we go. We're on board with Nixon right now, as you see him come around the final corner here. And he's getting things wound up and going around. And I am curious to see what Nixon can do here on another push lap. Because that 2:03.973 is mighty impressive. And I'd like to think he can find a bit more time here going up the mountain. We'll see how long we ride on board with him, because I'd like to show that perspective there going up the hill and just show just how much the drivers push going up the mountain here, because that is, like I said, you make it up the mountain, down the mountain's a different story, but up the mountain is where we'll see the biggest fights going into lap 1 is going to be real wild going up the mountain side by side. If you watch real life Bathurst, you've seen plenty of times that the track gets completely blocked because drivers wreck through. I'm curious to see if we're going to see that in iRacing today. As we're halfway through qualifying here, Wei-Han, what's kind of surprising to you? Is it the fact that 2:03 is the current pole time, or is it that half of our field hasn't even put in a time yet?
Well, unfortunately for the drivers, time is not on their side, and kind of as opposed to the the previous AMX Zero race where you'd have drivers go out, set a few laps and go into the pits and reset their cars and come out again. You can't really do that here. You go out, you outlap, that's already two-ish minutes gone. So, yeah, the drivers have to be very careful. The saving grace though is, as we do have a look at Simon Di Mori racing here with his Ford. Well, interesting choice of car indeed. It is also key to note that these Fords, yes, Ford is an American brand, but they have a strong Australian, native Australian presence as well. So over in Australia, the fans of Ford and Holden alike, they consider Ford to be one of theirs as well. So that's that. At the same time, Holden's part of the GM family, so you can kind of think of them as Chevrolets as well. So there you go. There's some American presence as well. So Simon Di Maria with a lap time of 2:04.993, which is plenty fast indeed. A whole second behind Connor Nixon, and also a fair bit behind Gael Valero.
I'm just looking, the cost to import a car from the port of Sydney, Australia to the port of Los Angeles, it's about $3,000 with about a 30-day turnaround. So, if anyone would like to donate me $3,000, I'll buy a Holden. Who was that spun out in the background? Ooh, that was a pretty livery, but it doesn't look as good backwards on the track. So, I wonder who that was, because whoever that is, they're not having a good time. But, yeah, so if anyone wants to donate me about $3,000, I'll buy a Holden and ship it to the U.S., because we don't have the presence of Holdens in the U.S. While they are kind of the GM family, we don't actually see the Holden brand anywhere. Very few and far between. I think some have been imported, though, but the U.S. has strict import laws, which is really frustrating for me. And also, that was Casacura that had spun earlier, Weihan. So that gorgeous livery, and is that actually just his name in a bunch of comic book font? Because if so, I love that. But showing what sort of a challenge that first uphill portion is, Casacura doing well to show just what I was talking about, where you really mess up that uphill, it kind of messes you up for the rest of your lap.
Yeah, it's quite easy to trip over yourself, especially with, it is a fact that as he lets the car, oh, there you go, the number 13 also goes around. That's, that was quite unfortunate there. So, yeah, racing here, with these V8 supercars, these cars come with a lot of torque, at least with the variants of V8 supercars that I've driven in the past. So you have to be very careful with your right foot, because these cars, they don't come with traction control, neither do they come with ABS, so you are entirely on your own. You can only rely on the sheer weight of the car to kind of keep your car planted. That's the only thing that you can bank on with these cars. So with all that considered, a good way to handle these cars would be, to brake in a straight line, brake before you think you have to brake, and not brake too late, which might kind of send your car off to the wrong direction, as that car has just done there. And when you exit the corners, try to short shift. So you can upshift, you can short shift, which kind of prevents yourself from spinning out too easily, which is also a trick for if you want to kind of get the best exit out of the dipper, as well as the forest elbow, which is this part. So Pedro Oliveira that was a perfect line through forest elbow indeed. And well, I'll tell you something though, Brad. Some of the names of the corners of this track, some of them have quite interesting histories. So you've got an example like Hell Corner. Hell Corner is named so because there used to be a tree stump along the apex of turn 1, of which if you hit, it's said that you would perish and go straight to hell. So it's named as such. And also the forest elbow is named as such because a motorcyclist back in the 60s with the name of John Forrest, I think, he scraped his elbow taking that corner, and therefore the corner has been named in his honor.
Huh. See, Weihan, this is why I love you, because you have all of this fun info. I wouldn't have known that. So I'm glad to see that you have the Australian knowledge. I think you should be an honorary Australian. I think I'm going to petition for that. Can we get you to be an honorary Australian just for your Bathurst knowledge? That would make sense. Jumping on board here.
That'll be nice. We're down to...
I think we can make it happen.
3 minutes, yeah. That'll be so nice. We're down to less than 3 minutes of racing here. Well, in fact, I used to race with an Australian team back in 2014. This team called Redback Racing Team. I used to be with them from 2014 to 2017, and of course, when you're with an Aussie team, the V8 supercars are a staple. You must drive them, and so I did, and I had the best time racing with them back then. But of course, that was also a time that I realized that I can't race, I can't drive fast in sim racing. So I found something else to do in sim racing, which is doing this. As you just said, that Guinea unfortunately tripped over, found himself alongside the wall, and I think he's managed to unfortunately upend the front of his car, and he's going to have to reset his car as well. So the drivers who have not set a lap time would be Kesenji and Kasakota. So unfortunately, 2 drivers who have not been able to set down their lap times. Also worth noting that the spread of the lap times are about 5 seconds, which is quite typical of racing here at Bathurst. It's a long track. Lap times are going to be more spaced apart, and this is kind of what you would see in official iRacing servers as well, with lap times within a span of 4 to 5 seconds. So nothing out of the ordinary. Of course, qualifying is qualifying and race is race, and when you take these V8 supercars racing, the style of racing is also going to be quite intense, because you can absolutely go bumper to bumper, fender to fender with the cars around you. So that's something great for the drivers as well. We've got a couple more drivers left on the track now for the final seconds of qualifying. It is Gerardo Ramos, who is currently qualified 14th, and we'll see if he's probably going to have a shot at besting his previous lap time. So he's just set a green sector, which, well, he would probably have to set another green sector in order to best his previous lap time. So his time to beat, if he wants to move up, will be a 2:06.638. So we'll see as Ramos comes around. Maurice will come across the start finish line without besting his previous lap time. So, he did. He just did that with 2:06.624, and that moves him up 1 position. So great final ditch attempt there by Gerardo Ramos, and we're now ready for race.
Yeah, you mentioned the time gap being so large here, but that's the thing with Bathurst, is that it's gonna show the big difference in drivers who are comfortable with this track and who aren't. As we see Connor Nixon representing his home country there, our BenQ session winner, and you can see him very cool, calm, collected, relaxed. He is ready to go with this setup. Quentin Gunez, P2, very, very good run from him as well. Gaio Valero, P3, Gustavo Ariel, 4th place. Simon De Mori, P5. And then Pedro Oliveira in P6. And then you can kind of see, as we go down, some of the big things. I think the big shock for me is Jackson Resenje, who did not get a representative time on the board. Very, very surprising to see the Tony Kanaan driver down in P18. That's not a place I'm used to seeing his name. But we'll set things up here, because it is going to be a rolling start behind the iRacing Porsche safety car here for these drivers in these supercars. And probably a good thing it's a rolling start, because it will give them a little bit of breathing room here. So they'll start out here on Conrad Straight, run down to the chase, come out of Murray's Corner, and then that will be the way to go. And it's going to be, I believe, 8 laps of action, if I remember correct. And we should see some very close battles as long as everyone makes it up the hill towards Skyline. I think once we hit Skyline and come out of Forest Elbow, I think we can call the first lap as done without issue. But I'm just going to tell you right now, somebody's going to spin in Hell's Corner. It's happening. Quarry Bend, Hell's Corner.
More or
We're going
less.
to take someone out.
More or less. Well, the saying goes on iRacing is sometimes when you're in a place where it's difficult to race, the best places to start are either up front, all the way behind, or in the pits. But of course, we're in a league race and we don't have to resort to those tactics. So everyone's spotting and everyone's gridded, and all of them will go racing. So of course, we're not doing a full warm-up lap here at Bathurst. You don't want to risk crashing yourself out just under safety car. So that's a Porsche safety car there. Great to see a Porsche safety car here at Bathurst. We usually see some other either Holden or Ford cars leading the charge. So the cars have now just made their way around the chase chicane, and they're coming upon Murray's Corner for the first time before coming around the start-finish line. So just like the Bathurst 1000 season in October, we're now in November, but racing still continues here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. And it is Pedro Moura who will lead the field to start. 8 laps of racing here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Pedro Moura gets a great start, and so does Facundo Arago, who continues to lead. Josh Perlman gets position gain as he moves up to 3rd position, and Gerardo Ramos he's just made the overtaking move along the outside of Josh Perlman to take a 3rd position, to retake his 3rd position. So Pedro Moura leads the field down the mountain straight. Now this straight, if your tires are cold, you have to be careful as you go over the crest, because sometimes you could spin yourself out if you're not careful. So some flashing lights there. There's a Red Bull driver of, I think, one of the drivers behind that. So making their way around the first of the tricky corners, entering the mountain section is Griffin's Bend before coming upon this left-handed way. You have to go all the way to the right to get the best line up and cutting. So the cutting is quite a tricky corner. You can spin yourself out in the middle, but someone touched the apex wall there. Absolutely fine still. Absolutely surprisingly clean start to the race at this point, as Pedro Moura continues to lead the field through the first half of the mountain section, coming around McPhilly Maze Park and the cutting as they start to approach the skyline. So this part with these V8 supercars, you can use the exit curb. You won't spin your car like it if you do a GT3. So the most picturesque part of this track is the Brock skyline as they're coming around here. There's this thought we had a great start. That seems to be a huge spin, and that's the Mustang of, I think, Connor Nixon and Lucas Donella, who have been affected. So 3 drivers I think have been taken out as Moura clears Forest Elbow, and so will the rest of the drivers as they leave the mountain section for a top speed run down the Conrad Straight, where they'll then soon start to go slipstream galore before they start to approach chase. So that's Facundo Arago, who might think of an overtaking move side by side down the chase. That's some exciting stuff indeed. You have to have full faith on the temperature of your tires, and you don't want to go out there onto the grass because that will upset your car. Oh, that's the... that was insane stuff. No contact so far. All of the drivers, you know, great thing is that you have a lot of fuel runoff here. So that Ford Mustang there unfortunately had to serve a cut track, but that has been a relatively safe start to 8 laps of racing here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. Facundo Arago is your new race leader with Fabrizio Belzini up in 2nd and Gustavo Ariel in 3rd.
Losing out the countryman of Connor Nixon there, up, going down the hill, side by side down the hill. You got to be very brave. You got to have some guts. And Lucas Dornella and Connor Nixon tried to do it. And it went through, and it was very, very gutsy. You could see the power of the slipstream as we ran down into the chase. But as you could see, Bathurst, Mount Panorama, you never know what to expect. Right as we say it's clean, it's not clean. So now we run for the 2nd time up Quarry Bend. We're going to hit the cutting and continue up the hill through the parks. We'll see how things go here as we watch Mori, who has Valero and Rasinje behind for company and for luck as we run around. Everybody's kind of holding on. Let's get a replay of that first lap crash here. That is going to be Ornella and Nixon side by side. He clips the curb, he clips the other car, and it sends him straight in. And then they bounce back out into traffic there. Thankfully, it looks like everyone avoided them and did not collect. But Nixon, that car, that Ford Mustang is total at that point. And you can see how that represents now. Down 36 seconds, somebody has a Vodafone old school McLaren livery, and I love you for it. Who is that? That is going to be Fabrizio Belzini. Fabrizio Belzini gets my vote for livery of the day there, as Ariel tries to dive up the inside through. Was absolutely trying to send it there, going through Forest Elbow. I thought he had it, but now we hit the point of slipstream yet again, Wayhan, and this is going to be where everybody gets brave. This is where we saw several drivers run down into the kitty litter in the chase. Who is going to hold on to it as we're behind Gunez here. Watch the slipstream as they hit the right-hander here. Everybody's on it. There it is. Ariel's going to dive up the inside, hold on to it there, and he does slide it back in, bit better on the brakes, and he gets through. Everybody's through the chase. Valero's around Mori there. We're watching the battle for 7th down on the bottom right. That is Valero and Mori as they get past in the chase. Now watch this. This is going to be Gunez, Belzini, Ariel there. Taps Rago. Rago gets bit loose, and Rago will come back on. He takes each other out, and there it goes, as that is going to collect Ariel as well. There's a big mix-up at the front, but watch who's going to take advantage of that. Gerardo Ramos, as we start lap 3, and a bit of a contact there through Murray's corner, leads into chaos in Hell's corner. And here we go, Wayhan, to start lap 3 of 8. And you can see, carnage at Hell's corner.
Oh, huge carnage at Hell's corner. So many drivers are going to go to hell after the end of this race. Well, Gustavo Ariel leads the field. He's climbed 11 positions, and so has Corentin Guinet, who's climbed 12 positions. So we do have our very own Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes racing both the the newer Red Bull V8 Supercar as well as the older Vodafone 888 livery supercar there. So, there's this team called 888 Engineering. So they used more than 10 years ago when it was still the Vodafone cars. You know, they used to run the Vodafone livery before then moving on to, I believe, the Red Bull livery, which was also then run by Jamie Whitcup and Craig Lowndes, two of the most legendary drivers in Australian V8 supercars. So we now ride with Corentin Guinea behind Gustavo Ariel, so you can just see how careful you have to be here. So in many ways you are kind of riding the brakes. You have to get your braking points right, and you also have to get your position. You also have to position your car just in the right place in order to get the most out of your momentum down the mountain. Josh Perwin fighting up in third, and he's got a hungry Kyle Valero behind. Is it just me, or does it happen that both Corentin Guinea and Kyle Valero are running Red Bull paint schemes? That would be interesting to see, as that seems to be an overtaking move along the inside by Kyle Valero. He tried to make that work, but he made. That's the battle for the race lead. So Gustavo Ariel continues to defend his race lead, while Corentin Guinea continues to fight hard for the race lead. So around the final corner, I think Guinea has to work a little harder to try to find another overtaking opportunity.
It's action everywhere we look. Action in the middle, action in the back, action up front. And right now, we're going to focus on the battle up front here with Ariel and Gunez. But keep your eyes just behind there, because Gaio Valero is under pressure by Josh Pervine, who is also pressuring Facundo Drago and Fabrizio Belziti and Federico Ramos in the mix. There's a lot of action through. Look at this. Gunez, he had a peeker on the outside, but he doesn't want to go side by side here into Quarry Bend. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want side by side up the hill, which is probably brave, but it could cost him here depending on how he goes. Look at the focus there on the driver's face. Just, he's trying as hard as he can. A little bit of a tap on the inside wall there. They're getting very, very brave and very, very comfortable as we go here. Corti Gunez is the driver down on the bottom, and he's just holding his breath. Look at him, he's trying to pick his move, he's thinking about it, and look at this, Ariel's getting a bit loose, a bit swirly up the hill there as we head towards Skyline again for the 4th of 8 times. He's holding on. Battle for 5th down in the bottom left of your screen there. That battle for 5th is Facundo Drago and Fabrizio Belziti trying to push as well. Now we go down the hill. Watch this though. Ariel very, very hard on the brakes, then catches Gunez off guard, has to brake a bit earlier than he wanted to. It's a Gunez carrying pace. Look at this. He's going to get right on the rear bumper. And if you ever wonder what a 10th looks like going down the hill, there's your answer. Forced elbow again.
So this is,
and here we go. Gunez has to run.
So I was just going to say, this is very much reminiscent of some of the final lap battles of the Bathurst 1000s of the years that have gone past. So exactly the way that Ariel and Guinea are fighting it out has also been the way, you've got drivers like Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Wincup fighting with each other from all of those seasons before this. So, with V8 Supercars, you can do exactly this kind of racing at North Panorama. So a lot of pressure is currently on the shoulders of Gustavo Ariel. He's lost up, unfortunately losing his race lead, and that is going to be Corentin Guinea, who takes the race lead away from Gustavo Ariel, and so has Kyle Valero and Josh Perwin, who've made their way around Ariel, and that was an unfortunate Ariel who have appeared to have cracked under pressure, but that's part of racing, and you have your new race leader, Corentin Guinea.
No ABS, no traction control in this car, so it's all about how gently and how well can you use that stop pedal and your go pedal. And you can see that for Ariel, it was just a moment of just a slight error on the stop pedal that cost him coming through Murray's corner. Now we're going up the hill again because Gal Valero is going to be pressuring Corentin Gunez. It is all to play for here, lap 5 of 8. I won't even mention that we still have 8 more laps after this heat, because we still have heat 2 coming up. And drivers holding on. Nixon down in P18. He's repaired his car. He's got the fastest lap at the moment, but with a 19-second gap to Jackson Resenje. And don't think Nixon's going to be up in the mix anytime soon. Corentin Gunez is clobbering the wall as it goes up the hill, and that's pretty standard to see here at Bathurst. You'll see little nicks of the wall here and there. Thankfully for the drivers, are kind of holding on to it. Gaio Valero keeping his way in the mix, though, as we run down the hill, and it always is going to be the car behind that has the advantage going down the hill and going down towards Forest Elbow and Conrad Straight. He's always going to be the car behind. Gallo Valero is really trying to hold on here. Look at this. There's the run, and there's the defense of Gunez. Gunez getting very cheeky with these supercars. And again, here we go. Gallo Valero with the slipstream. It's Ford versus Holden. Who comes out ahead? Gallo Valero is going to dip out a little bit early, but he does have the pace. Here we go, side by side, running down the straight. Going with the chase. Here we go. Valero on the inside for the start. Gunez on the outside. They break. Who comes out ahead? And it is going to be Gunez breaking a little bit later. And he does hold on there in the front. Of Gallo Valero is going to have another run down towards Murray's corner. Yet again, Wayhan, here we go, into the brakes. Who comes out ahead? Does he cause him to brake a little bit late? Switch back, and for another moment, here we go, Gunez on Valero. Valero, who comes out ahead for at least another lap here, lap 6 of 8. It is Gunez who is going to be leading Valero as we round this Hell's Corner again to start lap 6 of 8.
Yeah, it has been an exciting sequence of battles thus far, and it is going to be Valero who might think of an overtaking move down this mountain stretch, jump over the crest there, and Valero along the inside before they take on Griffin's Bend. So Valero, the new race leader, taking the race lead from Corentin Guinet, but at the same time both drivers have also got to be cognizant of the fact that Ariel might gain on them if they battle too hard with each other. So it's a question of perhaps if Valero and Guinet will work with each other to maintain the advantage ahead of a fast Gustavo Ariel who has got nothing to lose, who is currently sitting over in third. So we continue to ride with Guinet as we go around the mountain section. Oh, a bit of contact with the wall there. The great thing with these rear supercars is that you can ride these curbs without upsetting the balance of your car, so that's fine. Coming upon Brock Skyline and onto the Dipper and the SS, all about positioning your car well and making good use of your brakes and ensuring that you brake at the right points. Before then, coming upon the approach for the Forest Elbow. It seems that Valero has had a bit of a better exit there as he starts to pull a bit away. Guinet went a little bit slidey along the exit of Forest Elbow, so that kind of went to his detriment, but a bit of slipstream which might put the tables a little bit on the favor of Corentin Guinet as he tries to slowly but surely close the gap with Valero, but the stretch is only this long as they come braking again for this chicane here. Valero continues to lead Corentin Guinet, but it could be anyone's game with just over 2 laps to go here at Bathurst.
Hold your breath if you can for a few more minutes because it is really anyone's game here. You watch Ariel 1.8 seconds behind. He's not that far off of these two, but he's just close enough in the mix where if anything happens with these two, it could be a moment. And then here we go, watching through the battle for 6th in the bottom right corner as it is Belziti and Oliveira that are battling there in the bottom right hand side of the screen. They are absolutely pushing each other hard. We see Gunez here, a 1/10 of a second off Valero, and it's really anyone's guess as we go up the hill. Yet again for another run. Look at this. Gunez, though, has a very good run out of Quarry Bend going up the hill. He's definitely trying it. He's doing his best all the way through, and here we go through the cutting, and he's pushing. It's the French against the French, and nobody is going to wave the white flag today. They are trying as hard as they can to come out on top, and it's a very good battle as we run up the hill here towards Skyline, but that battle for P6 at the bottom right is still also going on. Belziti, Oliveira, who comes out ahead in that battle, though? Wayhan, I don't know where to look at. I can look one way, look another way, look somewhere else. There's battles everywhere I want to look, and we are lap 7 of 8. It's a good guess who is going to come out ahead by the time we finish this up, because Gallo Valero is absolutely getting bullied by Gunez down the hill. It's truly neck and neck as we go down. Slipstream's going to come into play. Wayhan, who comes out ahead as we hit the chase?
On the chase for the second last time for the first heat, racing here at Bathurst. At this moment, it is Valero who continues to lead Guinet down this long stretch, but the momentum advantage seems to go to Corentin Guinet as it goes along the inside of the chase, but doesn't seem to be able to make it in time for an overtaking move. So upon the chicane they come, it is still going to be quite difficult for Guinet to think of an overtaking move at this point. So Valero still leads Guinet as they round off the final corner for lap 7, and it is going to be a white flag for the two Frenchmen at this point as they begin the final lap of racing here at Bathurst. And it is also going to be the case for the battle for P6 between Pedro Oliveira and Fabrizio Belciti, picture in picture, right at your bottom right corner of the screen. Gael Valero continues to lead Conte Guinea upon the final lap, but of course, when you have V8 Supercar Racing and you go to the final lap, more often than not, drivers will have nothing to lose and they'll push, they'll give their best to make all of their overtaking moves work. So, just a handful of corners. No, we still got a lap's worth of corners left. As we were just saying, that battle for 6 seems to have evolved into a 3-horse battle. So that's absolutely interesting in the battle for 5th position, in fact. Gael Valero continues to lead Conte Guinea up the mountain section for the final time for Heat 1. Coming through these corners where you have to get your late racing line on point. Well, it's not too difficult. You just have to ensure that you don't carry too much speed through the corners. But for 8 laps worth of racing, Gael Valero and Conor Guinea have been fighting out absolutely hard as they come upon the Brock skyline, the most picturesque part of the Bathurst circuit indeed. And so will Fabio Zampellini do later on as he makes his way around the same part as well. Gael Valero continues to lead Conor Guinea down into the Forest Elbow and onto the backstretch, the Conroe Straight, the final time, and we'll see if Conor Guinea will have a shot at making this overtaking move work. Because if it's not here, and there goes Valero, he's going absolutely defensive indeed. They've only got a few corners to make anything work, so Guinea has to give his all if he wants to overtake, and Valero has to risk it all if he wants to defend his race lead, Brad.
Yeah, this is the final opportunity we're going to see actually next to final, and Guinez not close enough to make anything happen. Gael Valero was very defensive down into the chase, and now if you look at the bottom right there, it is Fabio Zampellini and Pedro Oliveira that are absolutely bullying each other through the chase, and we're seeing how that comes out, but Gael Valero is going to come across and take the race win here in Heat 1. Guinez P2, very, very competitive battle, but look at the background there. P3 and P4, Ariel and Perwan, P3, P4, Zampellini, Oliveira. That battle will finish out Zampellini, P5, Oliveira, P6, Fabrizio Belziti, P7, and you can see the celebratory supercar donuts as it should be from that Ford Mustang all the way through. Gael Valero very, very happy with how that happened, and it was a good battle all the way throughout. Now we watch Dornello come across, Casaculta will come through, Nixon, the countryman, will not be able to get to P15 to get inverted to the front, so he will be starting P16 in Heat 2, and Boas just about 8 seconds behind our last driver to bring it across the line. And Weihan, he's missing a good chunk of his car there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the great thing about these V8 supercars is that you can be losing quite a number of body panels, but sometimes they can be to your advantage. And if you're racing at Bathurst here, if you lose your boot lid and you lose your spoiler, you get more top speed. So Gael Valero, your BenQ session winner for Heat 1 here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, with Conor Guinea in second, and Gustavo Ariel, who's fought so hard but he's got to settle with a 3rd position finish. Josh Perwin and Fabio Zampellini finished 4th and 5th, and already the drivers are starting the grid for the second heat, which, mate, I have a feeling this will be even more exciting, because we've come to the final moments of racing at Bathurst, and every single real life race at Bathurst has always been more exciting as you progress on throughout the race, and I think it's not going to be any different with the drivers here.
Redemption stories to be told. I'm sure Jackson Resenje will find himself up at the front side of the grid, what he's used to. Quentin Guinez will find himself down at the back of the grid here, along with Gael Valero, our Heat 1 winner. Quentin Guinez, and we saw up the hill they were tidy, down the hills where things got crazy. Will it be the same story here for Heat 2? I don't know how this will go as we watch the drivers get rolling here behind the iRacing Porsche safety car. It's a short run here down into the chase through Murray's Corner, and then we'll be away for another 8 laps of action here around Mount Panorama. It is going to be anyone's guess how this can end up, but as we see the drivers be nice and tidy side by side through the chase, and I think this is the last time we'll see the drivers be nice and tidy side by side through the chase without a little bit of contact as we run through. Everybody gridding it up, and we are going to wait for the green, green, green call and just listen to these V8 supercars for just a moment. They are a beautiful sound. So I'll let you listen to them until I hear that green, 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 and we'll take it through the start. And there's your green as we are underway here with Jackson Rasinje leading. Lucas Dornella up into turn 1 into Hell's Corner, 3 wide here as we get a view from the back, and we can see that somebody spun there. That's the number 3 of Pedro Oliveira, who has spun, and he's taken Fabio Zamperlini with him, and Nico Godoy, who started from the pits, is just now exiting the pits. But up front, Jackson Rasinje holding on against Dornella. Look at this. Diego Villarreal, Casaputa, and Mori are battling each other very, very hard here as we run into Quarry Bend for the first time. It starts the uphill portion here. Gerardo Ramos up the inside of Fabrizio Belzini there in that Vodafone livery. And the drivers will continue through. Little bit of wall contact. They're side by side going up the hill, being very, very brave here on the first of 8 laps, doing their best that they can. Connor Nixon, P13 moving forward. The countryman with the pace up to P12 now. He's being very, very brave there in that number 168. He does not want to catch himself out into an incident like he did in the first heat. As we hit the top of the hill here through Skyline, this is going to be the point where everybody needs to hold their breath, be brave, and send it through, and that is going to be Casaputa going very, very wide up the hill, and that's going to set off a chain reaction behind him. As he slots back in, he knocks into the Vodafone, and there it is. There's a spin going down the hill, big contact.
So
it's
many
going
cars
to jam
involved.
the hill. Everybody has to brake. So many cars involved, and there we go. Everybody trying to push their way back through, but everybody from P8 back involved. Casaputa ending up in the wall facing backwards, and that is going to compromise so many races here. As we see Gal Valero with damage, Gerardo Ramos missing the front end, and that's what I was talking about in qualifying. An incident on the hill locks up the track, and it can take so many drivers with him. But we see Josh Perwine and Connor Nixon. Look at him making his way past all of that up into P7. Pedro Ramora in 5th place, and at this point, Wayhan, it's a guess who ends up where.
Well, I would have expected that pileup at Rock Skyline to happen here at Heat2, but of course, you know, with V8 Supercars racing at Bathurst, the stakes get higher and higher with each lap, and it even carries through the heats. So unfortunately, Brad, yes, it has happened, and at this point we do have a Jackson Resende who continues to hold on to his race lead with Lucas Dornella and Simon Di Mori in second. Connor Nixon with Josh Perwin, both Aussie drivers that stuck kind of around the midfield area at this point. And I think they'll try to, as much as possible, close up that gap with some of the cars further up in front. So yes, it is exactly like a real life. Of course, the great thing with sim racing is that you can always walk off from crashes like these without thinking too much, and you can always go back racing at another opportunity. So certainly something for drivers to learn about. It's not an easy track racing here at Bathurst. These drivers make it look easy, but it's not. Any little bit of mistake can kind of end your race. You know, if you step on the throttle too early or you brake too late, sometimes that's a ticket home. That's a ticket home earlier than you'd expect. So Connor Nixon has made the overtaking move on Josh Perwin. As we have a look at the replay of what exactly ensued during the lap 1 crash at Rock Skyline.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun replay to watch here. We're watching the battle down the hill here with Nixon and Perwine at the moment. And we're going to get a BenQ replay here to show us exactly what happened there in that crash. That is, I mean, it was just a moment there. Casacuta went around, and then that took around Fabrizio Belzini. Bounced back on the track there. That is going to be the number 17 of Gerardo Ramos that gets bounced. And then you see the number 8 there, the number 9 there. And at that point, it is just Josh Perwine getting through that is amazing because he took a hit and then just cut through. And you can see behind him his countrymen just finding that closed gap. The number 5 of Cundarago tried to get through, but then you had Gustavo Ariel, who was trying to back up and get out of the way, and it just ended up everybody hitting brakes, people getting dogpiled behind because they didn't realize the track was blocked. You can see there that number 17 of Gerardo Ramos, who had some huge damage there. Big shout out to BenQ for that full screen replay. But now we watch Pedro Mora, who doesn't seem to have as much pace as the home crowd turf does here. Lucas Dornella also being put under some pressure here by Mori there in that Hot Wheels car. Beautiful Hot Wheels livery. But that Ford Mustang behind him of Mori has a bit of pressure going as he is going to be looking to kind of hold on as he can, excuse me. It really is all the pressure on the hill here. And it looks like at the moment, Wayhan, Dornella is going to hold a little bit of pace, but Mori getting a better run here going up the hill. Can he hold on? Can Dornella hold on, Wayhan? That's the question.
So absolutely important for Mori to try as much as possible to maintain a close distance with Ornella. So that's something that's important. Indeed, we've also got a battle for fifth. Very similar situation to what we had in the previous first heat. Indeed. So Dimori continues to try to stay as close as possible to Dornella as they go on the downhill section, all the S's and the Cooper as well. A great choice of racing line there as they go on Forest Elbow. You can see that Simon Dimori did get a bit of a better racing line than Dornella did. I think Dornella's line was a little tight through that part. So what that means is that Dimori would probably be able to obtain as much slipstream as possible. But we do have an overtaking move there by Josh, and that would be Josh Perrin who's attempting to overtake Pedro Moura there for 5th position. They go side by side down the Conrad Straight and upon the chase, and that was an overtake move by Josh Perrin for 5th position. So great stuff there indeed. At the same time, Dimori will also have to try to find an opportunity to overtake and try to take 2nd position from Lucas Dornella, who currently sits in 2nd as they come towards the halfway point of racing here at Mount Panorama.
Halfway through here, Mori thinking about a dive up the inside into turn 1, and actually he is going to get it to happen there. And it looks like Dornella just a little bit late on the brakes there, goes a little bit wide and gets through there. And now that battle for 5th is opening up here as we see Perwine trying to defend from Moura and Gunez back in the back here. It's going to be 3 wide going up the mountain straight, and actually it'll go side by side here as Josh Perwine is ahead. Gunez and Moura is the big battle to watch here. That's the battle for P6, and Gunez will slot in ahead of Moura and hold on to that P6 here. As we see, just watching up the hill, Gunez, the Frenchman, looks like he's right at home here in Australia, holding on to the back of Perwine as much as he can, going through the corners here, through the cutting, up Griffin's Mount into Reed Park, and really just trying to focus and work their way forward. Connor Nixon, I want to draw your attention back up to P4 here because he's 1.5 seconds off of Dornella and showing some major pace there in 4th place. I'll be surprised if we aren't talking about Connor Nixon in the lead by the end of lap 8 because he's got some pace on him here. But Gunez really applying the pressure to Nixon's countryman Perwine as we go down the hill. It is going to be very interesting to watch and see if Gunez can put the pressure on the Australian and catch him a little bit off guard in the home turf as we run down here. And we hit Forest Elbow, and you can see that Gunez is just kind of looking, seeing where he can pick his action here, and now it's just flat on. You can see a little bit of white of sweat there, as this is a track that will work you very hard. Number 19, Gunez on the right-hand side here, and Perwine is going to be on the outside. It'll be the inside, though, when they hit the chase. But as we go through, and Gunez has that pass done well before he needs to have it done. Gal Valero behind him, his fellow countryman, is trying to follow him along as well. So it's Australian Frenchman in the battle for P4 at the moment. But that battle for P4 is about to be long gone because look at this. Nixon is 0.6 of a second off of Dornella, and Perwine is trying to battle Gunez as we go through Murray's Corner. And we're going to be starting lap 6 here, Wayhan, and it is just anyone's guess how this finishes up because look at Nixon 0.2 of a second ahead.
Absolutely, Brett. So great move by Guinness to go up for fifth position. Of course, currently Guinness's experience with touring cars definitely translates here to VA Supercars as well, even though it's a rear wheel drive. So we're back with the battle up here. So I think Simon Dimori has made his way up to up to 2nd position. So right now the battle between Connor Nixon and Lucas Dornella. So Connor Nixon made the move for 3rd position work. And it's currently set in 3rd position. So Dornella, quite a fair distance behind in 4th position as we come towards lap 5 of 8 of racing here at Bathurst Mount Panorama. We do have a look at Josh Perwine, who seems to be really eager to try to regain his lost position right there. So taking and the most optimal line as much as possible through the uphill sections around McPhillamys Park and on the approach to Brock Skyline once again. Oh, a bit of wall rub there does Dornella. Does happen every now and then. Just make sure that you don't damage your wheel as you hit those walls. And down upon the upper as well as the S sections once again. Great stuff by Guinness to continue to maintain his ground, to hold his ground, which is not exactly easy when you're racing here at Bathurst. As he continues as he leaves the mountain section and tries to now have Lucas Donella on his crosshairs. So I remember just earlier on in AMX 0, you asked if I could have my money on any of the drivers. I said no, but now I do have my money on Corentin Guinet to try to gain even more positions.
Corentin Guinet has a lot of pace, so that's a safe bet. I'm gonna call it a safe bet. Connor Nixon also has a lot of pace, so I'm gonna call that a very safe bet for myself. Because as we watch here, this battle going on, I'm still keeping my eyes forward because there's a lot of action all the way through the field as we hit Murray's Corner for this time, Wei-Han, and it is Dornella finding very, very much that he thrives under pressure here. Because Guinet is half a second off, but Dornella's pulling away a little bit here, which is kind of surprising to see. But Guinet, as you watch the sector times, does have a bit more pace there. But it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass, and Wei-Han, I'm going to ask you, do you think that Guinet can get a pass done up the mountain?
I would hold my breath because overtaking is always a quite an uphill task, pun not intended, at the mountain section of Bathurst Mount Panorama. You don't really pull off a successful overtaking move up there. Probably your safe opportunity for an overtaking move would be to try to keep yourself close to the car in front of you, then think of an overtaking move after you leave the forest elbow. But we'll see what Guinet has up his sleeves because he is very close indeed. So I think he will. Oh, he's committing to a move along the inside wall. This is a courageous move indeed. So Guinet made the move for 4th position right before you approach Brock Skyline. So you're absolutely right there, Brad. It's definitely some insane style of racing, and right now we've also got Lucas Donella, who's going to try to defend himself from Josh Perwin, who might even get an overtaking move done as he leaves the forest elbow, and we'll see what exactly happens. So already Corentin Guinet has pulled a 1.4 second worth of a gap ahead of 5th position driver, and this is a sign of good racing to come. We're now with the gearbox camera of Lucas Donella, and we'll see if Josh Perwin will be able to go for an overtaking move along the inside. So the chase they come. Josh Perwin takes the inside to make the move up to 5th position, pushing Donella down to 6th. And if you were Donella now, you might feel a little bit demotivated because you are losing some positions hand over fist. But a bit of mistake there by Josh Perwin, which would probably lead to Donella retaking his position, and also an overtake by Gael Valero up to 6th position.
It shows just how quickly these cars can flow back and forth because Josh Perwin gets that overtake done, but then has a small error coming out of the chase going towards Murray's Corner, and it cost him 2 places as quickly as he had earned them. Connor Nixon, though, look at that. As we hit lap 7 of 8, he is up into P2 now and on the charge for the win. Jackson Resenjay needs to hold his breath for just 2 laps, and we talk about holding our breaths a lot. We have to have some impressive lung capacity here. Watch this, though. Josh Perwin is going to be trying to get a run here on Gael Valero yet again as we go up the mountain. And if anyone's going to be brave enough to pass, it's going to be the Aussies as the Aussies go up the Australian mountain here. And we are going to watch on board because look at that dive up the inside that Gael Valero was going to go for on Dornella, but wasn't close enough to make that stick. And Dornella able to hold on for a moment. Hot Wheels trying to channel all of the Hot Wheels he can in that car. He's trying to channel it through, go fast, go zoom, and take that Mustang forward and keep P5 here. But that is becoming a tall ask the longer and longer we go on. Dornella, 5th place at the moment, and you can see just little brushes of the wall here and there, but it's not really costing him any pace. He's getting very, very lucky that these supercars are as strong as they are. Watching through here, down the hill, up into Forest Elbow. Again, they're just holding on to it here, Wei-Han, but we're going to go towards the chase in just a moment, and down the mountain we are, and now it's the chase, and Dornella, you can see he's looking in that mirror. Watch his eyes. He keeps glimpsing up. He's going to be looking at the road ahead. He's looking behind. He's trying to see where Gael Valero is going to place that Mustang and what Gael Valero is going to do in that bright white Ford Mustang. And as we run down, you can see Dornella going a very defensive there on the racing line. Gael Valero's going to dive out, look around the inside. Not close enough to make a pass happen, though. And as we are getting ready to hit the final lap here, I have a feeling that Gael Valero is going to be really looking to make a send for it here in a moment. You can see he's going around the outside here, which is the alternate line, but he's looking to try to just get a bit of a run here and make something happen, Wei-Han, as we start the final lap here. But watch up front as Nixon is 0.8 of a second off of Jackson Resenje going up the hill. So the battle for the lead is also going to open up. It is, I don't know who to count on at this point.
Well, the wonders of racing here at Bathurst. So, of course, the cameraman has, the production team has made the decision for us on our behalf. So we're now back with the race leaders. Jackson Resende, your race leader. He's been leading the race all race long apparently, and he's, of course, he qualified first. So he's holding off a very eager Connor Nixon, who's in second. So right now, any overtaking moves possible. Connor Nixon tries along the outside of the approach to the skyline. Both drivers are very close indeed. So Resende's job at this point is to try to defend and not open any doors as much as possible. So along the downhill section is quite a safe area to hold on to your position. But Resende has to ensure that he gets the best line out of the forest elbow in 5 seconds time to be able to... a bit of wall touch there, so that might be a little bit of an issue. That was an unfortunate... Oh, no, the wall! That was some insane stuff. And what's that? That seems to be Resende who's tried to push Nixon into the grass there. So, Nixon not exactly pleased with that move there, but Resende continues to hold on to the race lead. So Resende in first, Nixon along the inside of the chase. Is this going to be a last lap move for race lead? Both drivers going side by side into the chicane. The advantage currently on the... both drivers coming to contact indeed. Onto the grass goes Chris Nixon, and onto the grass goes Jackson Resende. Both drivers pick themselves out. The race leaders are out. The race leaders are out.
No! Oh, Cortigunas, you lucky duck! Oh my gosh! I don't know what to say, Weihan.
Neither am I.
I don't know
What a
what
race
to
finish
say.
here at Bathurst. Well, so your race winner, Corentin Guillen, who's taken the race win in spectacular fashion, taking it away from Connor Nixon and Jackson Resende, who were fighting it out so well indeed all the way to the final moments right there. Simon Demori, of course, taking advantage of the outcome as well. He comes home in second with Connor Nixon, who's, well, he was a recipient of that unfortunate unfortunate incident there towards the finish. Connor Nixon comes home in third. So we'll have a look at the rest of the drivers who will come across the start-finish line, finish off the race accordingly. Fabio Zampellini would have the advantage of the top speed as he's missing a rear spoiler, so that's interesting. And Kasakota, who's already had quite a colourful race, quite a vibrant race, he comes home in 15th position with... this is going to be quite a beautiful race scheme. So, Brad, I think in the next moments we might have a replay of the incident that marred at the end of the race for Jackson Resende and Connor Nixon, which ceded the race win to Corentin Guillen. But as we await that, Bradley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so as Pedro Oliveira finishes in P16, Fabrizio Belziti and Gustavo Ariel not finishing on track, but 16 drivers finish it through, and the mountain delivers. The mountain delivers what we you always know that Mount Panorama is going to do something, but wow, Corentin Guillen, I don't think if you had asked him at the start of lap 8 or at the top of the hill, he would have expected to be where he's at. Simon Demori, P2, Connor Nixon ends up coming back in P3 after him and Jackson Resende with some spicy moments there coming from Forest Elbow down through Murray's Corner there. Josh Perwine, P5, Gal Valero, P6, Lucas Dornella, P7, Pedro Mora, P8, Nico Godoy, Fabio Zampellini, our BenQ session winner in the bottom right-hand corner, Corentin Guillen. And you can see on his face, I think he's got a little bit, he's watching a replay right now, if I can tell from his monitor, of exactly what happened there. And I think we are going to take it to a BenQ replay as well and see exactly what happened there in those final moments. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that one, Weihan. I truly don't know what to say to that one. That was wow. Here we go, replay. Cool. And it's side by side. I feel like I've seen this in real life. Side by side, they tap each other. Jackson Resende goes wide, comes back on. He's loose, no traction control in these cars to help, and he just clobbers the side of Nixon, takes them both out, and then you can see the number 19 there of Quarantine Gunas. He sees that, he brakes a bit, and then he just holds onto the throttle, goes inside to outside, treats it like a chicane, and goes through. He just absolutely holds on. And Portagunas with the head on a swivel and sends it through Jackson Resenje. You can see him slow across the line there into 4th place after that contact. But hey, that's the chase. And if you've watched any Bathurst in real life, you've seen the chase deliver several times like that, because that's I feel like I've seen that several times happen. You could probably look up Bathurst highlights and find at least 100 instances of that way on.
Yeah, well, I mean, races at Bathurst began all the way back in the 1930s, so we'll definitely have plenty of such things happen. And what's interesting, in fact, is that the chase didn't really exist until later on. So the exact style of incident that we just saw, right, it might not have been a thing until the chase was introduced. So that's one. But otherwise, Brad, I have no idea how to put the outcome of the race apart from the fact that things happened so quickly, and we did not see those incidents coming, and I think the drivers did not as well. But it was great though that Connor Nixon and Jackson Resende managed to hold on to that car as well, to at least still finish with podium or near podium position in so many ways, Brad. But of course, I think, Brad, we do have a race interview coming up in just a moment's time.
We do, absolutely. So everyone stand by, and we will be right back with some interviews. And kicking off our interviews here is going to be Connor Nixon, the man that I couldn't talk about enough in Heat 2 or in qualifying or Heat 1. So, Connor, good. What time is it for you? Pretty early.
At the moment, it's about 3:20 in the morning. So,
Okay.
yeah, very, very early. Yeah, yeah, I haven't slept at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, so talk me through, I have to ask, talk me through that last lap. Talk me through that last lap there with Jackson. I have to ask because it seemed like you had the run on him, and then forced elbow hit, and then you all went through the chase. Kind of talk me through how that happened on your perspective.
Yeah, so basically we came down forced elbow, which is pretty big passing opportunity. He goes narrow into the corner, and I didn't want to turn him, so I backed out of it. Then I tried to go for a pass coming down the Conrod, down the big straight, and it just blocks me, and I'm like, oh, that was rude. And then we come down the chase, I'm side by side, still trying to keep that respect there. I'm not very dirty driver, but it just goes straight into me and the side of me, and then I get a slow down, and I'm trying to get back onto the track, and he's not allowing, so I bump him over a little bit. And he comes back over and just turns full right down. I could do a 360, somehow plucked it into first gear and kept going. But yeah, pretty annoyed about what that driver did. That was pretty disgusting, because even if he finished P2, I think he would have had a decent night. So pretty bad, to be honest, in my own opinion. It's not very good, but it is what it is. It's racing. It's what happens. It's what it gets on the line. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, we watched you battle all the way through. We know you had the pace all the way through, because qualifying, you were leaps and bounds ahead of the field. Obviously, you're Australian, so I'm going to imagine you have quite a bit of familiarity with Mount Panorama. But
yeah,
what's the big key to surviving this track? Is it truly just hold your breath and survive, or
it's more,
how much luck versus skill?
It's a lot of skill. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked how fast the guys were here tonight. because like I'm top 20 in Australia when it comes to these cars, and some of them were like only 4/10 off, and I'm like, geez, these guys can hang. But yeah, it's mainly skill, but hang on. Like I was expecting open setup, so I was like thinking to put 17 wing on, make it a rocket ship down the straight. Then I saw it was 22, and I had to get used to how much wing I had across the top, so I had to push more. But yeah, it's a lot of skill, but a lot of luck. Just how you position the car, and on people, you know, it's all about the skill, but luck, as in, yeah, to see if the mountain wants to bite, and it bite me in the first race. I thought I'll make it too wide down down the hill. Didn't end up well, and I don't know if you guys showed me on the camera, but I was not happy. But no, it was. Yeah, it was a hectic race. I've never done one of these before, like really sharp, small cash prize, you know, and when you qualify, it's inverted. So I was just like, what the? Like, I was so confused, but no, it was so much fun. Like, seriously, I saw you guys had Sandown coming up, so I'll definitely do that one. But yeah, this has probably been the latest league I've ever done, but yeah, a lot of fun, and yeah.
Well, Connor, we appreciate you staying up into the early hours of the morning for us. So it's nice to have you on board. Nice to see you race at a home track in a car that should feel like home for you. Unfortunate what happened to you, but hey, still good results there in Heat 2, even if the mountain did bite in Heat 1.
Yeah, that's it. She bites, but yeah, no, it was quite funny, but yeah, no, it was good to come along, and yeah, a couple of my teammates were like, "Hey, you should do this," and in the team, I'm pretty high up, so they were like, you know, go and have a run, and yeah, we slapped a livery together tonight for a special livery for the league, and yeah, that was good. So that was Curtis in the chat, Bird, I think his name is, and yeah, it was really cool to be invited along, and I was bugging the admins all week how to get in and just work everything, because I was just so not used to it. Like, I was trying to figure out where the password was just to get into the server. So yeah, massive shout out to all the admins just dealing with my wobbliness when it comes to this. But yeah, that was
no worries.
yeah, I'm like texting you through all week going, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. But no, it was great fun, and yeah, next time you guys do Supercars, definitely yeah, I'll definitely come in and yeah, see what we can do. But yeah, no, it was awesome fun. It was really good.
Awesome. Well, Connor, we're glad to have you on board. We appreciate you being by, and I can't wait to see you on track again. So I'll let you get to sleep there over in Upside Down Land. So have a good rest of your morning, okay?
Yeah, I'll try to, man. I probably won't go to sleep, and you know, but yeah, I got to wake up later in the day to do my esports in Australia. So yeah, it should be fun.
Well, good luck, man. Have a good time.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'll try and get some sleep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See ya. And our next driver we're going to do an interview with here is Simon Demori. Simon, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Hey, so I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Connor there. Heat 2, I don't know how much of a view you got of what happened in front of you there, but that was a very, very weird way to end up in P2. So kind of talk me through that last lap, those last few corners, and how you avoided running into Connor and Jackson there at the end.
Yeah, well, obviously when Connor came up to me, I knew he was way quicker than me, so I just let him by and was hoping for him and Jackson to battle a bit. But obviously was not expecting to end it this way. I actually made a bit of a mistake myself into the chicane and had to cut over the second part a bit. And then I just saw that both of them were just standing perpendicular to the racing line and smoke everywhere, so I just tried to get by as smoothly as possible, and yeah, I'm super happy how it worked out in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Finishing P2 when you don't expect to is always fun. Kind of talk to me a little bit about your experience with AMX as a whole, and just every time you race, it's a different car, different track setup. Is that something that, you know, do you find it challenging? Is it something you enjoy? What's kind of your opinion on, that different league setup as opposed to, hey, we're always going to be running, GT3 cars at these set tracks every 2 weeks. We run races 6 times a week and it's always a different variety of cars and tracks. What do you do to prepare for these races?
I actually like the format a lot with the changing cars and tracks, because it just gives me the opportunity to try out different cars and different car and track combinations as well. Actually, today it was the first time for me driving the Supercars, and they were a lot of fun. So I'm definitely super happy with the performance, and I might just drive them a lot more often now that I've tried it.
Yeah, that's one of the things for me too, is seeing different drivers do different things. How do you compensate for that? Like, this being the first time you've driven supercars, do you lean on a lot of your experience with like driving TCRs to get comfortable with a car really quick? Or what was it with the supercars that made you so comfortable to be running on the pace like you were?
They felt a lot like the Porsche Super Cup cars, I think, because they also don't have ABS and traction control. So I was kind of leaning on that experience there because I've driven them a lot. But yeah, obviously you got a lot of power and a lot of wheel spin, so you have to be super careful on the throttle. And yeah, it's just kind of the same. You have to drive with the Porsche Cup car.
Gotcha. So looking forward, when's your next AMX race going to be? When can we see you on the track again? Are you going to be racing tomorrow?
Maybe, yeah. I've not decided yet, but after this performance, it's certainly more tempting now.
Awesome, Simon. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us. So it's always good to see you on track, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. Maybe, yeah. Cheers.
Thanks. All right, Wei-Han. Well, that is going to be where I think we round things off. We heard from Connor Nixon there. We got his opinion on what happened with him and Jackson Rasinje. What are your final thoughts here to round out our race day 20?
Well, so obviously we had the first AMX 0 with Renault Clio Cups, which provided a certain style of racing that was quite cordial with the drivers, and then we had Supercars, which brought about the style of racing that you would expect with Supercars at a place like Bathurst. Oftentimes it goes without saying that you will have thrills and spills, as you can put it that way. You're bound to have drivers who will, kind of get the short end of the stick if you're racing here, and that's just part of the Bathurst racing experience. It's meant to be this way because you're racing supercars, and I think that's just how it turned out for some of the drivers, which has been unfortunate. But otherwise, I think at least from the perspective of viewers like ourselves, I think it has been quite a treat for all of us, because we've had a good we've had a good journey through the different styles of racing, and we've also had some exciting moments that we've all come to enjoy as well, Brett.
Absolutely. I'm going to steal a quote from Connor Nixon here. The mountain bites back. And of course, if you want to be part of the next time the mountain bites, AMXrace.com is the place to go. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Automatics, BenQ, Next Level Racing, and Upfit for supporting us in everything we do here at AMX. If you want to get involved, of course, check out the socials. It's Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. Our website is where you sign up for everything. TikTok. You want to talk to the drivers and get to know the drivers and find out, what it is for them that gets them in the league that they enjoy, that they don't enjoy. The Discord is where to do it. If you saw something today that you want to make a suggestion on for the future, the Discord is where to do it. That's where you can influence the league. A lot of times, everything we do here is influenced by the drivers. The drivers say something, and if it works, we implement it. But as always, on behalf of Wei-Han and myself, Brad, that is going to be all for AMX Race Day 20, and we will see you in less than 24 hours for Race Day 21.